Good afternoon and welcome back to All for United. This is the Pride of All Europe podcast, and it's the Euro 2020 final, England versus Italy. Is football coming home or going Rome? Well, we shall find out from this great panel today. And yes, I know it was shit. I know I nicked it from somewhere else, Stu. I know you're laughing.
Who wrote that for you?
What the hell was that, Ben? But But hey, you know what it's like, boys. Anyway, we've got a great panel of guests with us today. James, how are you, pal?
So I was muted. Yeah, I'm not bad. I'm not bad. I almost forgot to turn up because you almost forgot to mention me. But, that's how life goes.
I know. I'll hang my head in shame, mate. Honestly, how can I forget you? I feel bad. Charlie, how are you, mate?
Very, very in the zone, Benny. That's the phrase I use. I'm in the zone for today. Very much so. How are you doing, mate?
I'm not bad, mate. I'm not bad. Just hoping time doesn't drag till 8 o'clock tonight. Itching to get going as it is. Hammer, all the way from the United States of America. Thank you for getting up early to join us, pal. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. The early thing ain't a problem for me. I was doing this in college just to watch United games on Sundays, but I think it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be an interesting show, and it's gonna be a pretty interesting game later on too.
Absolutely. And Henry, someone that stayed up for the UFC, apparently only had 5 hours sleep or so. How are you, pal?
Fucking shattered, but I'm good. I'm ready to rumble.
Lovely stuff. And Stu, I know the UFC is full of posers, as you would say. I didn't think you stayed up there, did you, to watch it?
No, I was getting some well-needed shut-eye. But, apart from that, good. Yeah, good.
Good.
Another day at the office, as they say.
Yeah. Stu, did you watch the Copa America final, though?
I did, yes. Yeah, it was.
So you did stay up a little bit late then?
Yeah, it was dross, really, to be honest. The old final itself, Messi was non-existent. But felt a bit sorry for Fred, because he's had a wonderful tournament, to be fair, as a player, as an individual. He's played really, really well. And it makes matters worse when Di Maria scores the winner. But it's Messi's first international trophy, so at the twilight of his career, and they carried him a bit in the game, to be brutally honest with you, Benny. But congratulations to Argentina. They're my first memory of international football. Argentina '78, with the likes of Mario Kempes and Luque, wonderful players, great strip. All those years ago, Benny.
Yeah, none of them were posers rolling around on the floor like they've been shot their way.
There's no fucking posers back then, mate. There was footballers. None of this going to grounds. If somebody was within a mile of you, or fucking rolling around, holding the ankle when they've had their face brushed, I could go on forever.
Anyway, we'll get into today's Euro 2020 show. I'm sure we'll mention Copa America somewhere else down the line before the show ends. James, I'll come to you first. How are you feeling, mate? Are you excited? Are you nervous for this? Are you wishing time would hurry up, or do you think it's going to drag till 8 o'clock tonight? How are you feeling, mate?
Yeah, it's hard to pin down a specific emotion, really, isn't it? It's a big mixture of everything, really. Like I'm very excited for 8 o'clock, but also don't want it to come around at all. I like this little period we've been in where you get the excitement of being in a final without the potential of losing it. I'm liking this, but I'm hoping it's a better game than, like Stu said, than the Copa America yesterday. I'm a bit gutted I stayed up to watch it. I thought this would be one of the games of the year, but I think the best bit about it was just the pure shithouse of both teams. I think there was on average like a foul every minute or something like that. It was nice to see on that front, but nervous. That's got to be the main thing. Definitely nervous. I do genuinely believe we can win, and I think I really hope we do win. But anything can happen. It's 90 minutes of football. It'd probably be 120 knowing us, but yeah, who knows? Bring on 8 o'clock.
Absolutely, bring on 8 o'clock. Charlie, I know I sort of asked you and Stuart backstage, but for the audience, pal, how are you feeling, mate? Are you nervous? Are you just playing it cool, or are we just waiting for time just to come to 8 o'clock?
Well, at the moment, I'm excited, really, Benny. I think today is a day that every person in England deserves. I think the amount of crap that we've been through in the last 18 months or so, I think if we could win this final today, I think we would all deserve it. You know, staying at home, a lot of people have lost family members. It's been quite a dreadful year for a lot of people. And I think today, I think everybody in England deserves this feeling of excitement, this feeling of we're in a final. I think everybody deserves it. We've been through some really, really tough times. So, you know, everybody who's watching in the audience today, everyone on the panel, you know, enjoy the game with your family or friends. Try and forget about what's happened in the last 18 months. Forget about the pressures you go through in life and just sit down for 90 or 120 or 120 plus penalties and enjoy and try not to get too nervous. Try to actually enjoy a football match. My normal sort of analyst head, I'm trying to get rid of it for today, Benny. I'm just trying to think, you know, more of I'm trying to think more positively than sort of subjectively and my analyst view. I'm just trying to think, right, let's just enjoy the game and hope England win. But as I said before, you know, this is a day I think everybody deserves after everything that's happened. You know, a lot of young people have, you know, missed out on very important stages of their lives. You know, a lot of old people have lost their lives. I think today is just a real fantastic day for the whole country. And I hope that everybody can enjoy the day. And I hope that we, by sort of 10 or 11 p.m. tonight, we'll be celebrating into the early hours of the morning.
Absolutely, mate, absolutely. Thank you for everybody in the comments already. Connor, Brown Knight, Kurt from all the way from Australia. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm not sure what happened to Hammer. Sure, he's got him back to the stream. There he is. Hammer, mate, as somebody from the United States, how excited are you for this Euro 2025? Are you excited at all, or is it just another game of football for you?
Well, I mean, I guess technically I'm from a neutral point, right? But I think I put it in the All for United. I was supporting. I'm supporting England in this one, partially for some selfish reasons, right? We got a bunch of United boys on the team, and I want them to come back with a little bit of step up, you know, a little bit of kick in their step or whatever that term is. I'm a little slow, if you guys get what I mean right now. But also from a neutral standpoint, and me, I also love sports. So like kind of my view right now is it is excitement and things like that, but it's also because this whole weekend has been an insane weekend for sports overall. So yeah, I'm excited as hell for this game. I think both of these teams have been playing really well, like lately too, right? Like I feel like they're, you know, well, Italy's been doing what Italy's doing, right? Like they figured out a formula with that new manager that came in. But I think you guys, England, are coming into a stride and coming into a little bit of playing in a certain way where you guys weren't before, right? I think you guys are having a little more, what's the word I'm looking for here? A little more lethal in the attack than you have been, you know, in the games before the last couple games. So I think it's going to end up being a really great game, and I'm just excited as a football fan to see a good final. And like you guys said too, I'm kind of happy I didn't watch it because I probably would have turned it off. Apparently that Copa America final was shit. So hopefully this one makes up for it.
Yeah, you're probably better off watching the UFC anyway, mate, because it wasn't all that great. Henry, mate, for someone that did watch the UFC anyway, I don't know if you watched any of the Copa America final, but how are you feeling going into this Euro 2020 final?
Well, the Copa America is, I mean, that's League One standard. It looked like League One standard. It was one of the worst games I've ever watched. And I'm kind of regretting, you know, not drinking last night because that would have helped me through a little bit. No, but tonight, I don't know how to put it into words. I'm pretty nervous at the moment, and those nerves are only gonna heighten as the hours go on. So yeah, this is a huge game for the country. You know, we got to a semi-final last time, final this time. Have we got the experience to go all the way? I don't know. It's a final. It's a final way that there is no favourite, genuinely, and that's the weirdest feeling ever. So yeah, I'm gonna have a few drinks, and then and if we win, happy days, and if we lose, then have some more.
Have some more drink, absolutely. Stu, I know that's I love you what your answer is going to be. You already said it backstage, but how are you feeling, pal? Excited, nervous, and do you think this game is going to be better than the Copa America final last night?
Yeah, well, it's funny really because when it comes to footy, I'm pretty emotionless when I'm playing or watching, and today is just another game for me. Yes, there's a lot riding on it, but that it doesn't actually appear until 90 minutes or 120 minutes or after penalties. That's when the real excitement or disappointment will kick in for me. And I'm just hoping the lads view it very, very similar in terms of the players. It's just another game of football. Because it's very, very easy to get wrapped up in the occasion, and you can't wait 8 hours between now and 8 o'clock to worry about the game. The game will take care of itself, but I will be dancing around as happy and as joyous as everybody else if we win, and as pissed off and disappointed as everyone else if we don't manage to make it over the line. But with regards to how I'm feeling, yeah, rather emotionless right now. Normally would kick in for me 15 minutes before kickoff. You get that final instruction in the dressing room, you head out, and it would be the same tonight. You know, we're watching it with the family, a few beers and that, and you know, you'll tend to think about the game more. But until about 7 o'clock, another day at the office, just another day, lads, just another day.
Just another day. That's Stu speaking with his old wise football head on there, because I don't know if people that are watching know this, but Stu does play the game of football.
Fucking hell! Look, I kept that quiet. Nobody knows me.
Well, I thought I'd get it in. I'm bringing you up here, mate.
Bloody hell, nobody knows this. Crikey.
Anyway, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to move on to this question now. It kind of maybe a little bit half a hammer to maybe answer, but I'm going to ask him anyway. But I'll start off with James first. What would it mean to the country, to this country, if we were to go on and win tonight's Euro 2020 final? Because it's already, we're seeing everybody. I've known people that have been up since 6 a.m. already on the booze, you know, on a Sunday, which people might go, what do you mean on the booze at 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday? But people are already getting excited for this. But what would it mean to the country after 55 years of not winning a major trophy in the international game? What would it mean to this country if we went on to win tonight?
Listen, I go to university in Derby. I'm used to seeing people on the booze at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning. But it goes back to the question that you get asked. Would you rather, like, for example, would you rather see United win a Champions League, or would you rather see England win a European tournament? And this is the reason I always sort of sway towards England, because nothing else in this country can unite the nation like this football team has. And you know, just the whole national spirit, if we win this game, even if we lose it, I think it's still going to be good to get to a final. I think we've seen already, it genuinely has united a nation. You know, even people who don't like football are getting involved. It's brilliant. So, yeah, I've watched every single game with my dad. He's never seen anything like it. So it's been brilliant to sort of sit and watch them with him and watch him experience this, because he's a similar age to Stu. He's not seen England really perform in a national tournament since mid-90s. But yeah, I think it's not quite, I don't quite understand the size of this situation like maybe Stuart or my dad, because I've not been around to witness that disappointment quite as much as they have. But yeah, a win the whole country would just be completely inactive for a week at least, wouldn't it? Because everyone would be just on the piss for 7 days straight, and then hungover for the next 7 days, and then, you know, I think that it shut down in the best possible way. So I'm really hoping for the whole nation's sake we can win this game.
Absolutely, mate. And Charlie, same question to you, mate. What would it mean to this country? What would it mean to you as a young England fan? What would it mean to you if we went on to win tonight's final, to win Euro 2020, to see something that none of us have seen in our lifetime, England lifting up a major trophy? What would it mean to you, pal, personally?
Oh, it mean a great lot, Benny. I mean, I'm quite patriotic. I love my country. You know, as I said before, I know the whole world has been through tough times in the last year or so more, but I think especially in England, obviously with the government, the way they've treated us as a population in terms of there's one rule for them and one rule for everybody else. I think we've been treated very, very terribly, and I think a lot of people have struggled. I really, really do. And I think this would be incredible. But also, obviously, the first trophy for the first competition win for 55 years, it would be quite remarkable. And it would probably bring a tear to my eye to see Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire, Marcus Rashford, not obviously Jadon Sancho. Obviously, I'm not so much affiliated with him personally yet because obviously he hasn't played for Man United yet. But particularly Luke Shaw would be the one that would bring a tear to my eye if I saw him celebrating tonight, winning the Euros. It really would, because that's how sort of much associated with Man United and England, you know, especially with Man United players in the England squad. It's, as I said before, it's like a religion. It's instilled inside your body. And yeah, as James said, you know, uniting a whole nation, it's been fantastic. But also beating an Italy team that have gone 33 games unbeaten would also be an incredible achievement. I believe this Italy team hasn't conceded 2 goals in one game yet under Mancini, so it's going to be a tough ask. I don't think they've been behind in any game yet. I think they might have gone behind once or something, but I don't think they've been behind many times at all. So yeah, it's going to be a real tough game. But to win this would be really fantastic. And as I said before, to see the United boys, particularly for me, Luke Shaw, because I think the way that he has recovered from what he went through with his injury, and then obviously under Jose Mourinho, and I just think the way he's sort of turned his fortunes around, to see Luke Shaw win tonight would really please me. Really would. And also somebody like Raheem Sterling, you know, he's been through a lot of crap from the English papers as well. There's been a lot of racism towards him. He's suffered a lot. You know, that gun tattoo, didn't he? And he got a lot of stick for that. He's been through so much, you know. Sterling, I think he had another thing with buying a house, or there was some sort of thing going on a few years ago as well that was in the papers. And you know, I just love these England players to shut everybody up. I really would. But also, you know, if England do lose, you know, we all know what's going to happen. The papers tomorrow morning, it's going to be, and a lot of people from Scotland as well that I know will be out there celebrating. And I might have to come off Twitter tonight if we do lose because I can't quite handle that. But yeah, honestly, yeah, there you go, Joe, Forza Italia, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, he would pipe up, wouldn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is what I can't handle. You see, if England do lose tonight, I'm going to get a lot of stick on Twitter, probably from all different people. So I may have to go off for a bit. But yeah, to win tonight, Benny, would be very good.
Hammer, I'll come to you because you said in the private chat there that you've got an excellent answer to this. Because we all know that you're the neutral. You're from the United States, as I said before. But I'm interested to see what your answer is about this, because I can't actually ask you what would it mean to you if England won tonight. But you have come back and said in the private chat that you've got a decent answer for this. So what would be your answer, pal?
So it's not really going to be necessarily from me, but, you know, like I said, I went to school for sports too, right? So like sports is something that I've, besides playing, just loved my whole life. And I know it's not for a country, but remind me, when was the last time, and this isn't like a painful thing, when was the last time you guys did win an international trophy?
1966, pal, for England.
So yeah, so it's not a country, but it's for a club. There's a baseball club in the States called the Chicago Cubs, I believe. And it was to a point that they weren't winning, that people considered that there was a curse on the club for, I believe, 106 years. They hadn't won. And a few years ago, they won the World Series, and for the first time in over 100 years, won a championship. And that city, and even just baseball as a whole, like it was one of the most inspiring things to see. So what I will say is that for the amount of time that you guys haven't won an international trophy, outside of it just being, you know, like something that would be good for the country because of what's recently been going on, it's going to be one of the most surreal moments and feelings to see a country that has had so much talent, right? Everybody always talks about the last generation, how they should have won something. but it just hasn't been able to get over the hump. So being able to do that, that's the Italian cap. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I
First
thought I
of
left that
all,
one on the screen for you to answer to Joe directly to that one, mate.
I mean, kind of, yeah.
Well, he's just trying to wind people up, I think, at this time in the morning, mate.
Listen. I'm a brown guy who sometimes talks like I'm Italian because I'm from Jersey, right? So it's not really an insult. I love Italian food. I even love cooking Italian food. So I don't know if he was trying to wind me up, didn't work. But yeah, man, I think it's going to be a surreal moment, not just for the country, for you guys, but I think in terms of sports and I think in terms of football, because we all know what England is to football. So to see them finally win one after so long is going to be an insanely inspiring moment.
Absolutely. Well said as well, Hammer, to be fair. Well said. Henry, I'll come to you, pal. On 5 hours worth of sleep, and I'm sure you're not going to get any sleep between now and the full-time whistle, whether that be after 90 minutes, after extra time, or after penalties. What would it mean to you personally as well as people all around the country? What would it mean to you if England won tonight and lifted the European Championship trophy?
This is a mad thing, and you know, I never thought I'd be. I'm not a patriotic person. I'm not like others where, you know, I think, you know, the country is the highest order, I guess you could say, like serving your country, or I'm not patriotic. But even the semi-final at the end, I was like, yeah, if I sit here for the whole like couple of hours, I'm gonna have a tear in my eye, because this is seriously, it was just it's an unbelievable feeling. It really is, and you know, I can compare it to club football, I guess. I prefer United over England usually, but this tournament has sort of leveled it out a little bit. Because usually you think England games are boring and they're crap and qualifiers are just pointless, and you have the Nations League now, which is, I think, a bit of a waste of time. But now it's, things have changed with this squad. Things have changed. We've got a connection we've never had before. That's down to the access we've got to the players as well, which I guess, you know, people like my dad never had when they were younger, because you never had social media or you never had YouTube, whatever. So you've now got a connection that there never was. And, you know, this is the first time in over half a lifetime. Sorry. First time in over half a lifetime that a lot of people have seen England in a final. And that is remarkable. Like, terrible, but remarkable. And I'm, you know, I'm happy for everyone else, you know, the older generation that have been waiting for this, more than I am for myself, because, you know, I've been around for 21 years. We've been in 2 semi-finals, and that was unheard of for so many years. So, you know, I'm gassed for the country. I really am, and I hope we do it. And if we do, Knight Southgate, Knight Sterling. You know, Henderson's got an MBE, as a Sterling and Rashford, and these people are setting an example for the country that we're not cursed, that you can do it, and if they show bottle in the big moments, give them what they deserve.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And Stu, coming to you, because I know you're a very patriotic man as well. What will it mean to you if England were to go on and win tonight? I know it's all hypothetically speaking at the minute, because obviously there's two teams in a game of football, but what would it mean to you if we went on and lifted the European Championship, our first major trophy since 1966?
Well, this is one of the rare occasions where I wasn't actually born in '66. And so I am within the majority who've never actually seen us get to a final. We've been close, obviously, but we've never really made it until today. And I think win or lose, I kind of think the press are going to get behind this group of players. I don't see tomorrow morning's headlines being anything but praise for these group of players. Dependent, you know, even whatever the outcome will be, because it'd be quite churlish and quite pathetic if they did. And so this group of players has definitely united the country. I think I'm in agreement with everybody. I think this group of players has a likability about it. I think Southgate has done a much better job than any England fan has given him credit. And he's come out of this with a huge amount of kudos. And so from that point of view, I think that the country, come what may, when we wake up tomorrow morning, we've made a final, irrespective whether we win or whether we lose. And I think that's great for the country. All right, you'll get the odd one or two that will be a bit pathetic and childish and start talking about other things and how bad we were, etc. But ultimately, we've made the final. We've not done that since 1966. With regards to what the players do after it, they've got to get back down to it and make sure we win the World Cup. France did it. They won did they win the World Cup and the Euros? So it was the World Cup first, then the Euros, wasn't it?
They lost the final.
98 World Cup, wasn't it?
They won the 98, then they won the Euros, didn't they?
Oh.
The one after that. And did Spain win the Euros first, World Cup, and then the Euros? Anyway, my point being that, there are international teams that have gathered momentum from winning a major tournament, and we would need to try and gather this momentum and take it into Qatar. And I think if we were to do very well in Qatar, semi-final, final, world champions, then Southgate would then perhaps deserve his knighthood, and some of the players would deserve some kind of recognition. To win the European Championships, I'm not quite sure. They're not quite there yet, because I think even 3/4 of the 66 squad weren't knighted or weren't honoured. And so I would think if we went and, Southgate went ahead and won the Qatar World Cup, then maybe we could look at knighthoods. But as I said to you, until kickoff, it's another day. And let's see where we are at 11 o'clock tonight.
Joe has another question. He said, for the panel, but mainly you, Stu, would the golden generation have won something if Southgate was the boss? Who would you like to manage that side, and why did they always fail?
No, they're always doomed to failure because of their fucking egos. They all had separate egos. Manchester United wouldn't speak to Liverpool, Chelsea, etc., etc. They got the wrong managers in at the time. They were too busy worrying about themselves, whereas rather than playing for the country. I've always said that if you amass 80, 90, 100 caps and you don't achieve anything, those caps mean very little. And the problem that the golden generation had is they were being picked all of the time. There was complacency in it. There was no jeopardy for them. They would talk weeks before a squad had even been picked. Yeah, well, when I'm away with England and things of that nature, and you just can't do that. You should always, as a professional athlete, certainly a footballer, you should always, be white as a sheet until you hear your name on that team sheet or till you read your name on that team sheet. You should never take for granted your place in any team. Because once you do, then complacency kicks in. You will never give in your best. And the golden generation, if that's what you want to call them, I don't really agree with the golden generation tag. But that group of players, they knew they were going to make the squad. They were almost undroppable. And that's very, very dangerous in any team. And so when you do that, you don't give everything. You don't give your all. And we just never clicked as a group. So I don't think Southgate would have picked half of them. I think Southgate would have picked a more balanced squad. It always struck me that the odd one out of the midfield was Paul Scholes, the best midfielder in world football, and he was always the odd one out. I don't know why Lampard. I don't know why Gerrard had such a hold on Capello and Ericsson. When you go also and you look back at other teams and great players, Stevie Bruce never had a cap for England. Absolutely unbelievable. Nobody can tell me that Bruce and Pallister, when they were in their heyday at Manchester United, good English centre halves, couldn't play for the national team. Steve Bruce never got a look in. So you've just got to look at it from the way that Southgate has moulded this team and the way that he has allowed them to express themselves, but he's also clipped a few wings where needed, when players did get above their station, so to speak. And so from that point of view, I think he's done a really good job. But with regards to Joe's question, the golden generation, just full of egos, and it was never going to work.
Can I quickly just jump in on
of course,
something?
mate, yeah.
With these two teams in the final at the moment, I don't look at either side and think they've got stars, flashy players that are, it's supposed to be one player supposed to carry the whole team. I don't see that in either team. And I think that's a really good thing for England, because in the past we've had superstars everywhere, and that's where I guess that's where the ego thing comes in as well. But we've had flashy players and supposedly the best in the world at times. Things don't work out when you haven't got a squad kind of cohesion that, they all like each other, and they're all successful in club football because they were surrounded by, working players and, people that are willing to grind out. Whereas when they were in international football, it kind of turned to, we're all superstars, so none of us have to work extra hard to get results. And I think there's complacency in previous sides, and I think Southgate's got, especially with people like Rice and Phillips, you've got a working man's mentality. Earn the right to be on the pitch, earn the right to play football. And I think the Italians are the same. They haven't got any flashy superstars. It is earn the right to play your football in a game. And I think that mentality is hopefully what's going to carry us to, a World Cup final as well. I think this side is capable of big things.
Yeah, Henry, you're right there. I mean, the problem with the modern game is ego. And it always has been, really. And I've never been one for ego. I don't like players who've got. I mean, you've got to have a certain amount of confidence in your own ability. Otherwise, you don't make it at the highest level. But it seems to me that this team is prepared to put the work in. They're prepared to work hard on the training ground. They're prepared to listen and develop as a unit. And the other thing I like about Southgate is he was prepared to bring in players of, I don't want to say lesser clubs because I don't necessarily agree with that term, but the likes of Ollie Watkins. He's had a really good season in the Prem. I know he hasn't had his chance, but he's made the squad on merit. He got the likes of Connor Cody. I know again he hasn't made the any appearances, but apparently in and around the environment of the dressing room and training, he's been a leader. And there's a lot to be said about these types of players that maybe don't get to play. And again, Henry's right. Look, I don't agree with the superstar tag anyway. It's a bit of a myth. You're not playing the game by yourself. You're playing the game with a squad, a squad of 16, a squad of 23 or whatever. So you can't do everything by yourself in a game. And what Southgate has done better than previous England managers is put a collective group of winners really together, and it's quite refreshing to see. So I tend to agree with Henry on that one.
He was never a superstar himself, Southgate. Ever.
Absolutely,
he was a working player that had to earn his career at the top level. His England career was better than his club career because I know he missed a penalty in the last tournament in '96. Was it '96, '98? I can't remember. I wasn't born.
Mate, you're right.
Yeah, I wasn't born. But yeah, he's got a working man's mentality that's earn your right to be there, and I think that previous managers have kind of got, they've had good playing careers, or they've been a bit arrogant, or they've been, I heard about Fabio Capello banning ketchup just for the sake of banning ketchup because he's a prick. Like seriously, no, just genuinely. What's the point in that? What does that achieve? Nothing. It's just a thing to boost your ego and have control over everyone. Whereas Southgate doesn't do that. He allows the 26 players in the squad to be personal with him, so they'll run through a brick wall for him as well. And it's fantastic to see. So the credit comes from it's a mentality thing. It's earn your right to play on the pitch, and starting players like Saka as well. I know a lot of people haven't liked it at times, but over Sancho and Foden, who are supposed to be the superstars, up and coming superstars in the world, and then him putting in a wonderful performance, and then you got Sancho coming in thinking, okay, I've really got to fight for this place now. It's a working thing, and if you don't run on the pitch, you won't play. It's simple as that, and that is refreshing. It really is, because England's sides in the past have been garbage.
Absolutely.
I totally agree with that. Banning ketchup, Jacob. Yeah, it was that famous story that he banned ketchup. I think was it Ben Foster that told it? I think Ben Foster told it. Ben Foster put ketchup on everything. So people are saying Saka's such a teacher's pet. Southgate loves him. I think Saka's done very well, to be fair. Let's put aside that he plays for Arsenal. I think he's been quite a decent player for England this tournament. James, I'll come to you on the next one. Italy are unbeaten, as we said, in 33 matches, but England have won the last 15 of their 17 matches at Wembley. This final's got all the recipes to be an absolute classic, I hope. No matter it could be a drab, boring affair, but I'm hoping that this will be an absolute classic. Where will this game be won for England, or maybe potentially even be lost for England?
$1 million question, that. I think the obvious answer is the midfield. I think man for man, Italy's midfield is way better than England's. Way better. I was watching the Athletic sort of tactical breakdown of it, and they were saying Italy, a lot of their chances come from their pressing up front. They're very, they're very good at pressing. That's what Mancini's drilled into them. So England need to try and avoid passing out the back. As stupid as that sounds, they need to try and go long, because Italy tend to leave the centre backs isolated as well with how attacking their fullbacks are. And, the pace of Sterling and what I'd assume is Saka is going to be no match for the old legs of Chiellini and Bonucci. So that's a big thing England need to do, just not get caught out on the edge of their box. It happened a couple of times against Denmark as well, so we really need to put an emphasis on that. We've got some great ball players at the back, but don't even try it. Just get it up. We need Jordan Pickford to just calm down. I know he likes to get the rave on while he's in goal sometimes, doesn't he? But he just remember where you are, just do things easy, that sort of thing. But I actually think Saka needs to start as well. I think this is the first time I've wanted him to start a game, because out of possession, he's our best forward. He's like Dan James out of possession. He's brilliant, at tracking, pressing. He's played left back for quite a while as well, so he knows how to win the ball, and that's going to be really important, especially tracking their left back. It'll be Emerson, not quite as good, but regardless, it's an integral part of Italy's team, and he'll need tracking. And I don't think Sterling or Sancho will do that, so I think he definitely needs to start on the right. But yeah, it's just going to be doing the basics right. I think if England don't make any mistakes, they've got a brilliant chance of winning this. But Italy are ruthless; they really are. So any mistakes we do make, we'll get punished for. Just look at Spain; they completely dominated Italy. They were the better team for 90 minutes. They make a mistake, even in Italy's half, get countered on, and Italy score. And in the end, they didn't go through. But I just like to touch on Italy's sort of run, because I think it needs putting in context of, if England went on the same run, would they be getting the same credit? Because I saw a tweet and it put it perfectly. If this was England, all the press and all the world media would be saying, well, they got through an easy group. They've then got arguably dominated by Austria, squeezed through in extra time, beat a Belgium side with an injured Kevin De Bruyne, without Hazard, with an aging back line. It's not a prime Belgium side by any means. And then they got dominated by Spain and sneaked their way through. So you put it into context, would England be getting the same respect that Italy are getting for their run? So I think that's why I'm a bit more confident about this game, because I think Italy have been in some ways overhyped, or England have been underhyped in terms of respect they're getting for these runs. So yeah, back to your question. I just think it would need to be a perfect game to win, but I don't see why we can't do it. I think Ukraine was an example of a perfect game. We've got it in us, and we've done it more recently as well. We're coming into a good vein of form now. Group stage was disappointing, but we're really picking up momentum at the perfect time. And I really, really hope we can carry it through.
Absolutely. Charlie, speaking of the midfield, how important is Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips to England today? Or would you maybe even be tempted to put Jordan Henderson in the starting lineup just for his experience and his big game experience and his know-how? Because we need to try and control this midfield because, as James said, Italy have got probably far superior in that midfield. How do you see Gareth Southgate maybe going about the midfield today?
Well, to be honest with you, Betty, I'll put my house on Rice and Phillips starting. They will definitely start. As James said, the midfield is a big worry for me. Spain technically are much better than England in midfield with Busquets, Koke, and Pedri. So I don't expect England to create as many chances as Spain did. I think Declan Rice is I've said before, Declan Rice is fantastic at screening the back four or back five. If you say to Declan Rice, I want you to sit in front of the back four and the back five, I want you to clear up some mess, stop everything going through. Very, very good player at doing that. But as actually a footballer, technically on the ball, he's very average, very, very average on the ball. He struggles when he's pressed, and Italy press Spain very, very high. Spain obviously have got the technical players to get around that. I think where England get joy today, I think is in two areas. I think England can get joy against the fullbacks. I think Emerson and Di Lorenzo have showed big weaknesses one-on-one defensively. And I think that the two centre halves, if Italy go for it, which they won't, but if they were to press higher, those two centre halves, if the defence were to push up, obviously the runs of Sterling and Saka in behind will cause them problems. But Chiellini and Bonucci are wise enough to know that England's runs in behind are a danger. So they will be wise to that. And you may actually see Italy sitting back and being quite conservative in their play, because we all know that with England playing Sterling and Saka up against this sort of low block that Italy might set up with Chiellini and Bonucci, it's going to be difficult to break them down. So we may actually see Italy playing a bit more conservative game tonight. That might suit Italy and that might not suit us. I just worry with Rice. Rice is my big worry. I would play Henderson or Bellingham. I think that Italy, obviously 33 games unbeaten. They're a very, very strong side. But as James said, Austria, I thought, were the better side against them, particularly in the second half. They had a goal ruled out through Arnautovic. And then obviously it went to extra time. As James said, Belgium, not particularly, in my opinion, a great side, but they still beat them. And then Spain were the better team. But we all know Spain, you have to give them 10 times the amount of chances to get one goal in the back of the net. Whereas England, if you look at England's chances they created, England tend to create sort of three to four good chances a game. They tend to put one or two away. So, yeah, this game tonight, I think it's going to be a very tactical game, a very sort of chess game. Italy's fullbacks won't push. Emerson won't push as high. I'm very certain of that. I think they'll stay quite conservative, as Kyle Walker sort of does for England. I think Luke Shaw will not get the freedom that he's had in previous games. I think it'll be very, very tactical. I think it might be quite a hard watch at times. I think you need to have a few drinks before the game starts to help you get through the first 30, 60 minutes. I think it could be quite a sort of frustrating night. And that's what the Italians all want. Denmark did very, very well at frustrating England, I thought, the first sort of half an hour, 40 minutes. Keep it tight, quieten the England crowd down. Get in and around Rice. I think England's weakness is Rice. If you press him, you will win the ball back very, very easily. He's very, very poor when he's pressed, Declan Rice. I'm not saying he's a poor player. I just don't think he's very good on the ball. I really don't. And I think up against that technical midfielder of Jorginho, Barella, and Verratti, we could have problems. But having said that, England, as James said, England deserve a bit more credit, I think, than a lot of people are giving them. You can talk about the fact that England haven't played an extremely good side yet. But, Manchester City, for the last 4 or 5 years, I can remember every FA Cup run they've had, or League Cup run they've had, they've played teams like Oxford United and shite teams like that. And you just have to beat who's in front of you. Don't worry about it. Just beat who's in front of you. You cannot worry. Oh, we haven't played. Just beat who's in front of you. That's all you can do. So yeah, England today. I think it'll be a very, very sort of a bit of a nasty game. England have got to be streetwise. Declan Rice and Phillips, as Henry said before, they're very, very good and streetwise. I think they're very workmanlike. That's their massive positive. I think Phillips is a bit better on the ball than Rice is, but I just think Rice and Phillips today, Gareth Southgate's really, really got to be careful with that midfield, because even against Denmark, we saw Braithwaite come into midfield, and Rice was, you could see at times, Rice was a bit off balance, and Rice can't turn easy. And if you've got Verratti up against Rice and he turns him, he ain't getting back at him. So I think Rice is just going to have to Southgate just sit there. There's no point you coming and pressing it. Just sit there, because you're no good. You're no good pressing. You're gonna lose the ball. You're gonna get pressed high, and then you ain't gonna be able to run back, because he cannot. Declan Rice cannot run back to his own goal. So yeah, in terms of the favourite for tonight, just the last point before we go to Hammer, I think it was the favourite for tonight. I think Italy are the favourites. I do think there's a favourite. I think 33 games unbeaten. I think you have to be the favourites. So I think Italy are the favourites for me. I think they're a better oiled machine. I think they're a winning machine. I think they've got more experience, and I think they're a little bit more clinical than England are. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we lost tonight. So I think it's a very tough one, but I think it's sort of a 60-40 Italy-England, in my opinion, in terms of the two teams, the managers, the systems. I think Italy just edge it for me. But as Henry and Stu have been saying for a long, long time, you have to earn the right to win. And Italy, they did get fortunate, as James said, against Spain, against Austria. I didn't think they played well, but who cares if Italy don't care? Who cares? You're in a final. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how you play. They've got there. And Italy, we know, are capable of playing well, and they'll be up. They've got experience. Jorginho, I know Mason Mount has as well, but Jorginho won a Champions League final. Chiellini and Bonucci, they've got great experience. So yeah, I think it could be a bit of a tough watch, a bit of an eyesore. So get some beers down you lads. Get a bit of food in your belly. Get some beers down you and enjoy the game.
Hammer, I'll come to you, mate. And I'm going to give you the Joe's actually asked this comment here, which I kind of had it in my notes as well, that Italy have won ugly at times. It's something that England are probably not used to doing as much. Do you think England have got the quality to maybe go and win ugly, to go toe-to-toe with Italy, and maybe win it with a little bit of shithousery? I think that's the way I'm looking at it. Is it, have England got it within them to because we know Italy will probably end up rolling around on the floor, the Italians, trying to ask for bookings, free kicks, trying to get players wound up and sent off. Do you think England have the know-how to sort of an experience to sort of not play Italy at that game? Because if you're going to let Italy try rolling around on the floor, getting wound up, they're throwing themselves on the floor, pick up needless bookings. Do you think England have that in them, to win ugly and to not play Italy at their game?
Well, okay. See, so I was going to answer a little bit differently. So from what you put on the end there, I'll answer that too. So in that sense, I'm not 100% sure, right? I don't know if they have I guess experience could be a word, but I don't know if maturity would be too harsh of a word. I'm hoping that they don't, but if I think they could get pulled out of their game in terms of the shithouser, as you guys like to say. But in terms of quality, I was going to answer just from like an ability point in terms of players who can pull something out to get a winner or something like that. From that point, I think you guys have the quality. And I was talking with one of my friends. Of course, he's Italian, as Joe liked to reference. I am in an area where there's a lot of Italy support, but we were talking, and it goes back to what Charlie and James are saying, that Hammer looks like. Okay, time out on the fucking comments. What?
You want about the second one that Joe put up on here?
That too. Someone just said I look like a beans Burns toast sort of. No. I am supporting Italy, but I'm also somebody who loves food, so I will definitely be going for a carbonara and a glass of wine. Glass of red wine. Sorry, I don't even. Y'all's food hurts me when I see some of the pictures, man. No offense. But anyways, in terms of this, I think they do have the quality. And as I said, I was talking to my friend, and of course he's going for Italy, and he thinks, they're going to have the edge, like Charlie said, right? They might have the edge in the favorite. But in my head is they might play back because of the experience of Chiellini and Bonucci, right? I think they're going to be able to. They might be able to neutralize him. He still might get a number 9's goal, but I don't think I don't think Kane is going to have an amazing game, even if he nicks a goal. But I think where it's going to come from you guys to be able to win is going to come from the wings, right? It's going to be Sterling, it's going to be Saka, it's going to be one of the because like I said, I think you guys have that quality, especially coming off the wings. You guys have somebody who can open up a defense and curl one in where you guys might need just one goal to win it. So that's how I was looking at it coming into that question is, yeah, you guys have the quality in terms of being able to put a ball in the back of the net. But from what you asked me, Benny, I hope they have the maturity to not get pulled out of their game from the shithousery that we probably know Italy is going to bring into it. But yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game, like I said at the very start of this, and it's going to come down to the wings for you guys, in my opinions. If you guys can take advantage of the weakness that they have in the defense and really use that quality, get Sterling to curl the ball in, bring whoever, Sancho, Rashford, is right, Rashford's on the bench.
Yeah, he probably will start on the bench, but he has been on the bench the last few fixtures. If we're going to be tournament, it's just come on. It's just come on in dribs and drabs. He's not fully fit, though. Let's be fair.
That's true, but a Rashford is a prime example of what I mean by that, right? We've seen it as United fans. I think we'll all agree, even though sometimes he has some streaky performances, he seems to always have that big goal in a big game in him, right? Just come on and put something in the back of the net, put a good shot on goal. So, I think you guys have the quality coming in on the wings to take advantage of where Italy is actually weak.
That's a totally great answer there. And there's some weird questions today. I'm sorry, Hammer. I don't know what the hell. They must have all been on the booze earlier. I have no idea. There's some proper.
Oh yeah, and I also meant to say too, I won't be having a beer. You guys know what I'll be having, but
absolutely.
I'm the same vein.
Can I just quickly say before you go to Henry, just purely for Box in the comments, I've changed it's there, isn't it? I've changed the calendar to July just because it was really irritating him. Look, you can see it there. It says July. So
Nice.
I'm in my missus' house. So it's not my fault.
While I'm on you, James, because I know you'll have to be leaving us shortly, unfortunately. But I just wanted to get your score prediction while we're on it, mate. Because I know you'll be leaving us in about 5 to 7 minutes. So in case I can't come back to you, what's your score prediction for tonight, pal?
Oh, I'm really tempted to do a famous Henry Bartlett prediction and duck out, but I'm a man of honour, so I'll say 1-1 after extra time, 2-1. 1-1 after normal time, 2-1 after extra time to England. I couldn't tell you who'd score that. I'll go Maguire to score first. Why not? Big header.
Big header from Harry Maguire, eh? Well, yeah, they could go that way. And I have done one of my dodgy bets, by the way. I have put 20 quid on Harry Maguire to score today in 90 minutes.
We've lost, Penny. We've lost. You cursed us.
I put 20 to 1 on Sky Bet. I thought that's all right, I can see Stuart shaking his head.
We've lost that,
man.
I have to put one. It's a tournament tradition to put a dodgy bet on for me.
Fucking hell.
Anyway, Henry.
What Paddy Power give me for that?
Henry, Italy have beaten England in all games that they played in the major tournament. They beat them. I think they're coming up against each other in major tournaments 4 times. They've had 3 wins within the 90 minutes, and then they've had 1 penalty shootout miss. And with them being 33 games unbeaten, do you think that is Italy as slight favourites for this? Do you think that the ball is in their court, or do you think England with their 12 man behind them with 67,000, whatever it may be, fans inside Wembley tonight for the final? Do you think that sort of negates that, and then possibly might push England as maybe the favourites with that 12 man behind them? Which way do you see it, mate?
That's a bit of a morbid stat to come up with.
I know, mate. I know. It's just something I've seen and I thought, when I was doing my research, I thought, oh, have England beaten Italy in a major tournament, in major competition? No, they haven't. I thought, oh, great.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd just chuck that one in anyway, because we know that, Italy are 33 games unbeaten at the minute, but someone's record's going to have to go today. Is it going to be the 55 years of her, or is it going to be the 33 games unbeaten with beating England in the 4 times they faced them in major competition? So, I don't know, mate.
Well, you've helped me change my drink choice from beer to vodka, so thanks for that. Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't think they play a part in previous games. Really play a part in games like this. We weren't expected to get to the final, and we've done it. So things like that just come about and go. To be honest, with results, Italy won't play much into that. They're not superstitious and believe that previous results have an impact on this, because they're different squads, different managers, and again, different mentalities. So yeah, I don't know. The Wembley kind of atmosphere and crowd could play a huge part in this game. I think the Italians are. I've described them before as knobheads, and I'm going to do it again because they are knobheads. They're just a bit, they cheat, they roll around, they dive. I mean, the Jordi Alba and Chiellini thing was clearly, it was like a power struggle for Chiellini to get the upper hand before a penalty shootout. So I think Kane against, those two, Chiellini's a big Squidward-looking weirdo who's he looks like he's been hit by a bus about 20 times. So, and he's I'm sure his breath doesn't smell very good either. He probably eats tuna or something before the game. It's just, I don't know. Kane against those two is going to be fascinating for me. And his price, Kane's price, could go up by 50 million from this one game. Genuinely, Daniel Levy will be looking at us thinking, rubbing his hands, thinking, "I've got a real chance to get 200 million out of this guy." Because he doesn't usually show up in big games, and this is his chance to prove that he does, and that he can lead this England side to great things. So there's key battles all over the pitch. The crowd will help. Hopefully, I think there'll be probably a few thousand Italians anyway. But oh yeah, Joe, I'll keep crying, man.
He's have a right whinge today, isn't he? He's a right whingy bender, isn't he?
God, no one drink Guinness tonight. That's as a fuck you to no one drink Guinness tonight. It's just to piss Joe off. And no one eat carbonara or red wine. Scrap the lot. Fish and chips and a beer. That's what everyone's going to do tonight. So
Colin likes your analysis on Chiellini, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, it's true, isn't it? I mean, Bonucci's the kind of he doesn't really do anything, to be honest. He goes around kicking people. He doesn't really do anything other than that. Chiellini he's just an eyesore, isn't he? He's just a bit. He's just not. Again, it looks like he's been hit by something on the way to the ground, run over by a bus, or hit by something. He's just not a very but he's a warrior, as they all call him. He's a warrior, and he was throwing Jordi Alba around like a rag doll before that penalty shootout, which I think played a part, because that was like a mentality thing. That's I've got you. So if it comes to penalties and he starts doing that on one of our players, just don't send up the captain. Send up someone who's not going to be taking penalties and headbutt him. just watch one of our players just deck him.
I think they already got some PTSD from that. From getting headbutt.
Oh yeah, just take a leaf out of Zidane's book and wipe the floor with him. Just send up someone who's not going to be taking a penalty and get him sent off. Doesn't matter. Send up a substitute and just watch him floor Chiellini before the penalty shootout, because they'll do anything to get the upper hand. They'll be doing their usual at the ref. Oh God, oh my God, there's a foul. I'm so ready. If we win this game, it would be fantastic, because I would love nothing more than to watch Chiellini sit on the ground and cry, because he's a knob. So that's my analysis done.
Well, I don't that analysis of Chiellini now. I think I just hope he doesn't come back to haunt us, though. Now for that, probably. Stu,
He's a proper
Oh, he will.
centre half, Chiellini. He's a proper centre half, and that's the
I was about to
difference.
say, Stu, he's not a poser though, is he, mate?
Well, no, he fucking isn't. What he does, he sticks his head in there where it matters. He's got guile. He's got street smarts. He knows what he's doing, and he's been playing alongside Bonucci for 10 years or something along those lines. There's one thing that people have really got to kind of understand. Chiellini won't give a fuck about 70,000 people in Wembley. Not a fuck. It's another day in the office for him. It's another day in the office for Bonucci. It's another day in the office for Verratti, Jorginho, because they've been there. They know what it's like. They've been around players that have won European titles, World Cups, all their career. They know what this stage is about. And that's the real key element to any football team. And Southgate will have a couple of options tonight. And one of the things he's going to have to do is exactly what Spain did, is nullify Verratti. They used Koke to nullify Verratti, took him out of the game. And Jorginho will do something similar to our attacking midfielder, whoever it is. And if it's Mason Mount, for example, Jorginho will be rubbing his hands together because he knows Mount's game inside out. Verratti, if we don't get a hold of him, we know how cute he can be. We know how devastating he can be on occasions. But equally, he can be taken out of a game. And Barella, for me, is the unknown quantity. He's relatively new to the team. We don't know a huge amount about him. But he will be the unknown quantity in the midfield. But when you match them up man for man, they do have a better three than us. So, Southgate's got to work out what he wants us to do, not worry about what Italy are going to do, what he wants us to do. Because the dimensions of the pitch haven't fucking changed. Wembley's Wembley. And so he's got to work out how he wants us to play. Because if you start worrying about the opposition, then you start taking away your attacking strengths and what's brought England to the final, which you can't do. And he can't worry about the likes of Chiellini, because all Chiellini and Bonucci will do, they'll just drop 6 yards. They'll bring Donnarumma up 6 yards and they'll just cut the space. They'll give Sterling 6 to 8 yards to work in, Sterling and Saka, and that's not enough to get him behind the Italians. It's a very straightforward thing for the Italians to do defensively. It's not difficult at all. Where we may come unstuck and where we've not experienced it in this tournament is two attacking wide players of the quality of Insigne and Chiesa, who can score from outside the box as well as inside the box. Now, Mobley's not had the best tournament, in my opinion. I don't think he's been great, but he will still pull Maguire and he'll still pull Sterling in and around the 18-yard box. So for me, I would take Rice out of the equation and I would pop in Henderson, because I think Henderson will be a bit more of a calmer head. I'd be tempted to keep Phillips in, and I might, I'd be tempted to take Mount out and pop in Bellingham, to be honest. I just think that we've got to be a bit more cuter in the way we go about it. But the Italians are going to roll all over the place. It's football, it's life. Can't do anything about it. Get on with it. But if you are going to put an Italian down, put him down. Give him something to fucking roll about. That's the way you get over that. Do it properly. Be hard with him. Get stuck in. Win your fucking 50-50s. Fucking tug his shirt. Whatever you need to do, do it. But when you look at their team as a whole, when you look at their structure, right through their coaching, right through their managers, they've been in situations like this before. I promise you now, lads, in that Italian dressing room, it'll just be another fucking day at the office. And we have got to make sure that the likes of Phillips, because Phillips for the first 10, 15 minutes was all over the place against Denmark. And he can't be all over the place. He's got to be disciplined. These guys, they should have shut themselves away from the media this week. They shouldn't have allowed the media in until they had to do their media days last night. They should have kept the media away. There should have been no pictures leaked of them on fucking playing basketball or whatever they were doing. It should have been kept the media away. This is an unknown quantity for the bulk of our squad. And that could be our downfall. I hope not, but it could be. But that's just football. But, you've got 90 minutes or extra time, but you've got 90 minutes to win a game of football. And these lads have got to come together and they've got to do it. They've got to show a spirit and they've really got to show a determination. And forget about everything else. Forget about the country. Forget about the nation. Forget about the crowds. go and play your game. Just don't think about anything else but winning that game of football. That's what you must do.
It's true. Just on that, you said you'll bring Bellingham in for Mount and you'll bring Henderson in for Declan Rice. Is that to try and take control of the midfield? Is that to try and make sure Verratti doesn't have too much time on the ball?
Yeah, because look, I don't really rate Henderson actually as a footballer, if I'm being particularly honest with you. But what he is quite workmanlike. Charlie's right. Rice is very good at screening the back four, and that's what you want as a good CDM. But he does get caught in possession a lot more than what Henderson would do. And I think with Henderson in and around, and I've always said this about a CDM has to be a dictator. The core of your back line, which is your goalkeeper, your two centre halves, and your CDM, they need to be dictators. They need to have batons in their hands because they should be dictating positional play, etc. Because they can see what's going on around them. And Henderson has done relatively well leading Liverpool's midfield over the past 4 seasons. How long he's been there? 5 seasons. And I think he would add that maturity, and he would add a little bit more know-how, which is what you're going to need in that middle. And it give Verratti something to think about. With Bellingham's a little bit more industrious for me than Mount. I know people are going to say if you take Mount out of the equation, it takes a goal-scoring threat away, etc. But I don't think Mount's really set the tournament alight, if I'm being honest.
Mount was shocking in the last game. Sorry, Mount was awful. One of the worst players.
So Sterling, I think, has been our player of the tournament, but that's for another day anyway. And so I just think Bellingham's a bit more industrious. He's got a goal threat to him, but fuck me, he can tackle. Bellingham can tackle. He's quick. He's got a bigger presence for me than Mount. It's just what you do with Phillips, in my opinion. Phillips is the kind of fly in the ointment for me. I like Phillips. He's kind of flying the ointment for me, and it's what really you do with him. You've either got to trust one, you've got to trust Rice, or you've got to trust Phillips. And tonight's game, I don't think you can trust both. He will. I think he will start the 11 that went out against Denmark in the semi-final, but it's not what I would do. And I think Southgate is, like I said, if Southgate wins tonight and he wins in Qatar, tonight will define his England management. And I think he's got to get it right. And sometimes, people are calling for Grealish, etc., but you've got to see what you're playing against. That's the key. You've got to look at what you're playing against, and then you've got to try and work out how you're going to almost play against it, but play your own game at the same time. You can't, as I say, you can't worry too much about them, but you've got to know who you're up against. And so Henderson has that ability. Rice, I don't think, is there yet. Phillips, definitely not. But Henderson will have that ability to say, right, this is what's happening in your segment of the pitch. This is what I need you to do to nullify that. And I don't think Rice has got that just yet. Maguire, has got it. Stones has really turned his career around, remarkable. And the same as Shaw. I tend to agree with Charlie. I don't think the Italians will push up too much on the fullbacks. I think if Spinazzola was playing today, it's a different story. I think he would have put, Walker under a lot of pressure. And it leads me to believe I think he'll start with Trippier at right back, because I don't think Emerson will push up, because I think they'll be worried about either Saka's pace or Sancho's pace. So I think they'll probably play with Trippier. He's a little bit more versatile.
One counterpoint to that is they've got Chiesa in that side, and he's absolutely rapid. And I'm just thinking in terms of Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw's quick, but he's not as quick as Kyle Walker. And Kyle Walker's got the one thing that we need in that defence, because Maguire's not that mobile. Stones is a little bit more, but he's not that quick. Kyle Walker in the last game saved our ass a couple of times just because he's got that 20-yard pace. It's quite funny actually how quick he runs. He's just rapid. I think he's the quickest player in the England side, if not in the tournament. He's got the recovery pace to catch up with anyone. I think that if Chiesa or Insigne does one of the centre backs, I think you've got that covering pace from Walker. I think Trippier doesn't bring you that, and I think that's why you're right.
you're right about that. But my thought process with Trippier is set pieces and free kicks. Yeah. He's outstanding on set pieces and free kicks. So, although I agree with you, Henry, about pace, I think it's a tricky one. It's a difficult one.
Mount would start. Mount to me has been. He looks like he's been living off the Champions League win. He looks comfortable. He looks. Correct. He doesn't look like he's busting his ass every time to go and win the ball back. He looks kind of within himself. He looks kind of happy, and I don't like that in a player. I don't like that. He looks like he knows he's going to be in the team. So I know
that's what I was speaking about earlier.
They had the COVID situation.
Yeah,
they had the COVID situation, which was rough with him and Chilwell. Chilwell was not going to make it in the side anyway, but he just seems like too much of a favourite to me, and I think that's the one downfall I have on Southgate. The one problem is he does consistently pick players. I know he believes in him and trusts him, and he's won the Champions League, but he picks some players even though they don't warrant playing. Mount does not warrant a space in that final after the semi-final performance. He was
agreed. Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting matchup tonight. But anyway, that's my take on it, fellas. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Charlie, I'll come to you, mate. Who are going to be the two key players tonight for either side? One for England, one for Italy. Who are the two key players that, for somebody who's probably not, say if we're watching this final for the first time, there'll be loads of people out there that are jumping on the England bandwagon in this country. So for those who may not be too familiar with both sides, who are the two key players we should be looking out for tonight, mate?
Obviously, when you've got a final, you need sort of 8 or 9 very, very good performers out of your 11 that are starting to obviously win it. So it's very, very difficult to pick out a couple of players. But I think for England, that left-hand side has been, I think, 75% of the goals we've scored so far, or something around that, has come from that left-hand side. So that's obviously a key area for us. So, if you're looking out for one player that can make a difference, obviously Sterling has been incredible. I think for Italy, I think if Spinazzola was playing, I think that would be the one player I would look at. I would really, really worry about. I think because he isn't playing, I would probably say, I think Jorginho, the ability he has to control a game, to the amount of cool and composure he has in that, the coolness and composure he has in the midfield. But as I said, Benny, when you're in a final, you cannot rely on individuals. And this is, I think, what let Manchester United down in the Europa League final was the reliance on Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford throughout a lot of the season. And I think this is why Manchester City have really, this is obviously they've got a fantastic pool of players to choose from. But this is why Manchester City can chop and change for being so consistent. It's because, if Gundogan isn't playing well, you've got De Bruyne, or if Sterling isn't playing well, you've got Foden. If he isn't playing well, you've got Mahrez, Bernardo Silva. And this is what England have done quite well. Saka, as we said, has played reasonably well, but then he came out, Sancho came in and played really well. And you've got, Tyrone Mings was playing very, very well. And then obviously Maguire came back to fitness and he's come in and been very, very good. So this is what England have got. They've got sort of this group of individuals who have come together as a collective to, most of the time, every player, I would say, since the group stages has put a 6 out of 10 performance in. And that's what you need. And I think rather than picking out individual players, especially these Italians as well, we can talk about Chiesa, Immobile, Chiellini, all we like. But the reason why the Italians are 33 games unbeaten is because as a collective, they're just so strong. Everybody knows their jobs. If one player gets injured or, comes off, the one who comes on to replace him knows exactly what he's doing, is equally as good. We saw that, I think, with the Austria game. Chiesa came on as a sub. Belotti came on for Immobile and made a huge difference. You've got Pessina as well. You've got Bernardeschi as well that could come on. So you look at the Italians as well. I think I was watching the show last night on ITV with Gary Neville and Roy Keane and Ian Wright, and they were saying England's bench is much stronger, and I don't agree with that. I think England and Italy's benches are both extremely strong. I think maybe England have got more sort of game winners that can come on, but Italy have shown throughout the whole tournament that they've got players on the bench that can shore up a game or that can do equally as good as a job as the man on the pitch. And one decision we've all got to make tonight actually is whether we're going to watch BBC or ITV, because they're both broadcasting the game. And me personally, I'm going to choose ITV. I think because of you've got Gary Neville and Ian Wright and Roy Keane. I think more entertaining.
BBC
but then you've got not Jermaine Genius for me. I prefer.
I will. Sorry to interrupt, Charlie, but Sam Matterface.
I know.
No.
Fucking
Lee Dixon. No.
If there's anyone,
I can't listen to Jermaine Genius though. So
if you're struggling and you want someone to tip you over the edge, just listen to Sam Matterface's.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. He's got no exuberance though, has he? Even when England are playing, there's no happiness behind it. There's no. He just describes it like he's reading a book or something, isn't he, to himself?
The thing is, though, Betty, I'm a bit superstitious, right? And because the last game was on ITV, the semi-final, so I'm not going to change where I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it on the same channel as last time. I'm not going to change my kit. I'm wearing the same shirt. I'm going to sit on exactly the same place on the sofa. I'm going to keep everything the same. I'm not going to change anything. I've got a light that's a multicolored light. I'm going to keep it white for England. I'm not going to change that to any other colour tonight. So I'm a bit superstitious. I'm going to keep everything as I've gone so far. That's what I'm going to do.
The wife's driving tonight, so I'm having a few. The wife's driving, so I'm having a few. Fuck it.
Connor put a tweet out apparently about ITV versus BBC, not a single vote for the BBC. So I'm assuming he's agreeing with you there, Charlie, on the ITV thing. Box was put. Pugac, Lineker. I can't stand Pugac.
I think the thing is,
but Stuart comes up with a good point. Though he's saying BBC for the game, ITV for the half time. With Roy Keane and the likes of Gary Neville and whatever. Yeah.
The thing is, though, with BBC, I think you're right there, Stuart. I think that the people in on sort of the half time are better than they are on BBC, because Rio Ferdinand comes up with this bullshit every time. Oh, England are the big favourites for the final. I think he said before, we're going to win this. And there's no reason there's people on Twitter who are all these people who have got opinions that are just they're built from these pundits. Rio Ferdinand, they're just off some vibes. Even Ian Wright, I think he was on BBC. Because I think Ian Wright works on both shows. I think he works on both, doesn't he? And Ian Wright said, we'll beat Scotland 4-0. We're going to win easy. They don't actually understand the fundamentals of football, and you have to earn the right to beat
Why
people.
Do you think they never won for England?
Well, this is the thing.
That's all.
And why did some of them fail as managers, like Paul Scholes, Gary Neville? They don't know what they're talking about. So to be honest with you, whoever you watch, it's going to be.
But to be fair though, sorry, but Reece has come with a decent fact. If it was Clive Tills and Ali McCoy, I said it last night in my tweet. I'd watch ITV hands down. How the bosses at ITV put Sam Matterface and Clive Tills is unbelievable.
It's because they put him as the lead commentator at the start of the tournament. So if they take him off now, I genuinely believe that's his career at the top level done.
True. Yeah, you've got a good point there, mate. Yeah,
his career he'd be shot to bits. He'd be abused left, right, and centre, because that's what people are like at the moment. And his confidence would be done, and he'd be done as a he's not even a top commentator in my opinion. He'd be done as
he's fucking awful
in general. But it is.
Everybody is.
But you haven't got ad breaks as well with the BBC, which is kind of nice. You haven't got 5 minutes where you're shitting yourself watching some Manscaped advert about a guy trimming his bollock.
Then you have to listen to Gary Lineker and Rio Ferdinand for 15 minutes. Then,
to be honest, we won't watch the build up. We'll tune in at 5 to 8. I'll turn it off at fucking half time because I can't be arsed with him, and I'll tune back in for the second half. Fucking, but Reece is right. Jurgen Klinsmann on BBC One, by the way, is absolutely top draw.
Jurgen's quality.
Top draw.
And Emma Hayes as well. Emma Hayes, fantastic. Yeah. Alex Scott. But the thing is with these, what I don't understand with pundits nowadays, if you're a former player, you get a job as a pundit, and it just doesn't make any sense. There's thousands of people out there in the world waiting for a chance, and they probably know what they're talking about more than these pundits do.
They used Ashley Cole in the last game, and there was a Danish women's footballer, and she was speaking better English than Ashley Cole.
That's not hard, is it?
What the living fuck is he doing on there? He's got genuinely. It's like listening to a 2-year-old. He's got the same vocab as a 2-year-old. It's absolutely atrocious. So why the hell has he got a job on one of the top stations in the loads of people over Scotland and Ireland, they all watch ITV or BBC, and it's just, my God, they do not help themselves, these people. They really don't. And people like Ashley Cole and interviews with Joe Cole, and it's just like, get someone who actually has the vocabulary to, who's intellectual a little bit, just a little bit. I'm not asking for much. I'm just asking for you not to put a dud on the TV that could make conversation with a wall, because that's how thick he is. Sorry.
To be fair, though, the BBC have got another option. If you press the red button, you can listen to Radio 5 live commentary.
You can. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
But they've got Karen Carney on there as well. She sometimes speaks a little bit of sense as well.
Yeah, she's all right.
Yeah, she got a lot of stick,
she infuriated all the Leeds fans, didn't she? When
I
tired. So,
anyway, we should move on.
What was the question? I forgot.
Sorry, I think I must have took it. Sorry, I sidetracked.
No, you're all right. I'm going to come to Hammer next anyway. Then I'll come back to you, Stuart, and then
okay.
But Hammer, I'll come to you, mate. I just wanted to know what players are you excited to see in the game tonight? From your point of view, I know you say that you're throwing your weight behind England tonight, but what players are you excited to see as maybe a little bit more of a neutral compared to some of us?
Yeah, so I'm going with, for you guys, I'm going with Sterling, and I'll probably stick to the left side, kind of like Charlie did, right? Sterling and Shaw, because I just think they're kind of both in form for you guys, right? Sterling's been being more consistent and more lethal at coming off the wing for you, and then Shaw has carried his form that he ended United with, right? So he's just bringing it into England. And then for Italy, I'm going to go Jorginho also in the midfield because of the control, but I'm actually going to go for back to the old guys that we were talking about before. I think probably more Chiellini than Bonucci, but the two of them are just bulldogs back there. And I think if they play the game that they want to play, plus that Italian midfield having some control, it's good. That's where it's going to be hard for England. But yeah, those are the two guys I'm looking at. And I don't know. I think it's funny what Steve said earlier too. It was a center back way of putting it, is like, if you know the England guys are going to be rolling around, give them a reason to roll around. So I think if you can break that up and break up the control that Jorginho and that midfield brings, that's how you guys are going to start finding some holes in that Italian midfield and Italian defense. But yeah, it's going to be Sterling and Shaw for you guys. And then if that spine of the Italian can stay strong, then that's where they're going to be able to take advantage of the game.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And where are you going to be watching the match? Are you going to be watching it at home, mate, or are you planning on going out? Or?
No, I'm just chilling at home. It's my day off today, and I work tomorrow anyway. So yeah, I'm chilling at home, watching on my TV. Probably get some shit. Even though I'm supporting England, I might get some Italian food, get some pizza. Have a smoke before the game, and that's how I'll be watching.
Good old Hammer. Good lad.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. I'll come back to you now, Stu. Sorry, I just wanted to get Hammer's point on what players.
No problem.
What we're saying about Harry Kane, then, the England captain, is this going to be his final? Is it going to cement the golden boot tonight? Or do we over rely on Harry Kane as well, or do you think that? Because we took Calvert-Lewin, he's not had much of a look in. Rashford, obviously, we know had a bit of a knock, but the question I'm trying to ask is: the pressure too heavy on Harry Kane's shoulders? Because in a game that's might be tight like this one, where one chance might be all that you need to score a goal. What we're saying about Harry Kane tonight,
yeah,
is this going to be the biggest match of his life as England captain?
It's a good question, that, because the matchup that I was quite looking forward to seeing, I was looking forward to seeing two matchups really. The first one is against Kane against Chiellini, just to see how Kane would cope. And the second one is I've never been a fan of Donnarumma, so I was quite looking forward to seeing how good or how bad a goalkeeper he is. And that would mean, obviously, we're peppering them with shots. So those are the kind of areas I was looking at tonight. With regards to Harry Kane, we've never really played to Harry Kane's full potential with England. He tends to be so isolated when we're out of possession, even when we're in possession. He rarely gets the real service that he gets at when he's playing at club level. Will the weight of England be on his shoulders tonight? I doubt it. If he goes into the game and he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, or got the weight of the nation on his shoulders, he just won't deliver anyway. It's simple as that. He's got to play with an element of freedom tonight, but we've got to find him, because he's hit a bit of a run of form at the moment where he's scoring goals. I know his penalty was woeful against Denmark, and Schmeichel would be disappointed he didn't kind of push it to the side. Really, he should never have given Kane a second chance. It was awful penalty. But if he gets in there and he gets a chance, he should take it. I mean, a striker of his ability, a striker playing at this level, you should take it. But we've seen plenty of strikers, Lukaku for one, missing what we would class as gilt-edge opportunities in this tournament. So no, Kane he's got to be one of those players that forgets he's England captain tonight, forgetting about what he perceives to be pressure, and just get on with it. Because if you play with pressure in any game, you can't give it your full attention, because you're worrying about what the people think. You can't be worrying about that. If I was Chiellini, I'd be rubbing my hands together. I'd be so looking forward to this tonight. Really, really looking forward to going up against Kane, seeing what he's got. Personal one-on-one battles are going to be key tonight. You must win your one-on-one battle, and Kane has got to get the better of Chiellini. The problem with Kane is, I know he's got this, people say he's got this ruthless streak in him where he turns around and he allows players to, he backs into players when they're in midair and things of that nature. But you're not going to get away with that with Chiellini. Chiellini is too big, he's too powerful. And so Kane's going to have to play a different way against him. And I guess, Kane's got to equally try and rough Chiellini up, because Chiellini will try and rough Kane up. And Kane's got to equally try and rough up Chiellini. And he's got to be a bit more cute in his positional play. But as I said to you before, I think the Italians will drop deep anyway. They won't allow too much space in behind Chiellini and Bonucci, because we are quicker, as Saka and Sterling are a lot quicker than them too. So I think they'll drop deep. So, so Kane's potentially got to maybe change slightly his game just for tonight. He's got to be a bit more cuter.
Absolutely. Henry, I'll come to you, mate, on Chiellini and Bonucci. Looking at both sides, if you was say he was a neutral fan, who would you be putting your hat on, Chiellini or Bonucci, or Stones and Maguire as the centre of our partnership of the tournament? Because listen, I think Italy have only conceded. Are they going to concede 2? England have only conceded 1 this whole tournament. So, correct me if I'm wrong if it is conceded more than that. But the 2 leanest, toughest defences in the competition. Where would your hat be put on, mate? Were you camp England or camp Italy defensive wise, the centre of our partnership?
In terms of experience, it's got to be Italy. Like, Italy are the most experienced defence. It's just obvious. With Maguire and Stones, I've been really happy with Maguire. I think he's been fantastic this tournament. I think he's shown up when it mattered. But this, for that partnership, we've seen what Chiellini and Bonucci can do over the years. They've been a centre-back partnership for years now. Whether it's club or country, they know their way around, as Stu's mentioned before. So, but this for Maguire and Stones is probably, for me, make or break. Maguire didn't play in the Europa League final, and that was our United's downfall, I think. But I think that this is make or break for those two, because Stones has lost the Champions League final as well. Can they do it on the big stage? You know, when it really matters, can they show up and perform and cope under pressure? But I'm not worried about the defenders. I'm not worried about the centre backs. I'm worried about Pickford. Like, massively worried about Pickford. He had some senior moments in that game against Denmark. You know, I'm hoping he just got out of his system in that game, but he looked nervous. He looked absolutely shot to bits for about probably 15 minutes of that, especially the first half. He was just, you know, why are you rolling the ball out to a Denmark player when they're about 5 yards away from you? Like, I genuinely, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And they put his hand up and apologise, and they do it again 5 minutes later. It's like, I don't know. Pickford concerns me in so many ways. He can be fantastic, and he was brilliant for the whole tournament. And then he goes and stinks the place up with a pretty horrendous performance against Denmark. He looked nervous. He looked all over the place. That was the Everton Pickford that we were hoping we wouldn't see. And we thought, okay, he's done well. He's cut the mistakes out, and then he goes and does that. And
Southgate loves him, though, doesn't he? You know, but I suppose had this been last year when it was supposed to be played, I don't think Pickford would have been number one. I think it would have been Nick Pope. To be truthfully honest with you,
it would have. You're right, Benny. It would have.
But that being said, though, I'm with you, though, Henry. I have massive question marks over Pickford. Sometimes he could be exceptionally good, but a lot of the times he really worries me. He looks bang average, and his positional sense sometimes worries me. His overall distribution, his kicking's great, but as you said, his throwing, though, was absolutely woeful against Denmark on a couple of occasions. It's like, is he starting to show nerves? And it gets like a rush to the head as well, where he's coming out and he's miskicking stuff and he's, flapping at stuff. The free kick, I think he could have positioned himself a little bit better. The Denmark scored. I just, maybe I'm just being a little bit too harsh on the guy, you know what I mean? But it does. That is a concern for me. I know. I think Stu said he's not 100% sure on Donnarumma himself, but if it was me and I had to choose which goalkeeper that I'd be more happier with and more trustworthy with, I'd be saying Donnarumma all day long. With
Pickford I was a keeper for like probably 10 years. I know I'm only 21 now, and I kind of stopped playing last year. I might start again. But a keeper, the one big component that people completely miss out when it's keeper, forget talent, forget ability on the ball, forget kicking or claiming crosses, confidence. And the one thing that worries me with Pickford is when he makes one mistake, he makes two or three, and that says to me he hasn't got the mentality. He hasn't got the head to cope with the big game. So if he drops a cross today, he'll make another mistake because he looks like someone that he's kind of living off confidence, and if he's not there, if he's not at the top of his game and he makes one mistake, I really worry for this England side, because the last thing you want to see is centre backs. I mean, I've been yelled at by a few centre backs before because you make a mistake, but you've got to recover, and the centre backs, Maguire and Stones, be thinking, shit, if he makes a mistake, because the one thing you don't want as a centre half is to have to protect your keeper because he's making mistakes. So he cannot be carried in this game by defenders, because we simply don't need that to happen, because that's against the last thing you want to have on your mind as a centre half, occupied by the fact that that knobhead behind you might make a mistake or drop the ball or throw it out to an opposition player. He's got to be on it today, and if he's not, I think that's the one area where we're weaker than Italy, and I think we'll lose the game if he's not on it. Genuinely, I think we'll lose the game. Let's
just hope he's on it. But you are 100% spot on what you say about Jordan Pickford. And I always said I was surprised that he even got a call-up. He's had a shocking season for Everton again. Had Dean Henderson been fit as well, and there's been question marks of Dean Henderson as well, over positional-wise, and he's still a young up-and-coming goalkeeper. I thought Henderson might have pushed him a little bit more, but obviously with his hip injury, that's never going to happen. I think Southgate totally trusts Pickford in tournament football. And it's been justified. Let's be fair, it's been justified so far. They've only conceded 1 goal. But as you said, on the biggest stage in the biggest game of his life, he is a mistake waiting to happen. I totally agree with you, Henry.
Henderson needs a year. He needs 1 more year. Genuinely,
one more year. Yeah, I absolutely agree. If he's United number 1 throughout next season, then maybe in the World Cup, it could be his time.
He can't be tried. He saved a few penalties in the World Cup in I should say 1 actually, didn't he? In the 2018 World Cup or 2, whatever, I don't know. But he saved the penalties, and he's sort of living off that a little bit, I think. And Pope, it's such a shame about him. Such a shame about Henderson.
It's a shame about Pope.
He has got no competition. That's his problem.
Absolutely. Right, this is before I come on to score prediction, because I better wrap it up soon. I just wanted to have a bit of a light-hearted fun here, because we all knew before early on in this tournament there was talk about Southgate getting a new contract no matter what happens. But should Southgate in England go and win, obviously everybody be calling for him to be a Sir Gareth Southgate. For me, that'd be too soon. You know what I mean? For me, you win a knighthood after winning a succession of trophies, trophy after trophy after trophy, like Sir Alex Ferguson did, for example. The only way I can see him becoming Sir within the next year or 2 is if he goes and wins the World Cup as well, back-to-back European and World Cup. Charlie, do you think the British public, especially the British public, go a bit overboard with stuff like knighthoods and all that lot? Because obviously people will be like, oh, it should be Sir Harry Kane as well, but Harry Kane might not have won the game. He might not have done bugger all final. For example, it could have come off Harry Maguire's backside and gone in the back of the net, but everybody would be like, oh, Harry Kane must be a Sir, Do you think we over egg all this sort of knighthood stuff and everything? Considering I don't know if all the 1966 squad have received knighthoods either.
They haven't.
Did they?
No.
So would it be fair, Charlie, for Gareth Southgate to get a knighthood before? I know a lot of the 1966 squad have sadly passed us away, but before they even get honoured with a knighthood, where do you lie on that, mate?
I think if England win tonight, I think there's a lot of people that will want him to get a knighthood. To me, to be totally honest with you, Billy, I care about football and football only. I said this before. Marcus Rashford, top bloke. I love Marcus Rashford, but what he does off the pitch doesn't affect how I view him on the pitch, and it's exactly the same with Gareth Southgate. If we won tonight and Gareth Southgate got a knighthood, brilliant for him. To be honest with you, I'm not really bothered. I just focus on the football side of things. So yeah, I just always want the players to do the best on the pitch. Off the pitch, if you act like a role model, fantastic, as Rashford has done. Brilliant. Just don't let that affect you on the pitch, and it's fine. And I think it has affected him a little bit. I think that's fair to say. But I'm not really that bothered, Belly. I'm more bothered about how this win. I'm just bothered about us winning the game, and if we do win the game, how it affects the population. Because I think everybody deserves to have a bit of a celebration tonight. Forget about work tomorrow morning and going to school. Forget about all that if you win tonight. Just get on with it. Celebrate it if we win. If we lose, fantastic job that we've done in this tour. I think we've been very, very good. There'll obviously be question marks if we lose. How did we lose? If it's on a penalty shootout, there'll obviously be question marks, or lost on another penalty shootout. If it's by a lack of experience, perhaps if it's by a mistake by somebody like Stones or Pickford, or maybe a Walker who have been known to make mistakes in the past, they'll probably get a bit of hate for it. But yeah, to be honest with you, buddy, I'm not really bothered about knighthood. I just want players to do what they're asked for on the pitch. If you're asked to be an electrician, you do your job, you go home, you have your tea, and you go to bed. These footballers, you go on the pitch, the football manager, you go on the pitch, you set your team up as best you can, you coach the team. If you win, fantastic, you've done your job. But that you're paid to do this. This is what you're paid to do. You know what I mean? So I'm not really bothered. If you just get a knighthood, he's done a good job, but to get a knighthood just for doing a very, very good job, I think knighthood should be given out for people who do something out of the extraordinary, for people who perhaps are not the most famous people in terms of what they've achieved, but how they've affected the world and how they've impacted on other people. And I think for a knighthood, I think it would be a little bit too soon. But as I said before, I'm not really bothered, Benny. I just want to win the football match. This is why I'm here on the channel talking about football. That's all I'm bothered about at the end of the day. When I go and see a football match, I just want my team to win. And if we don't win, you look at why you don't win. If you won, you take the 3 points, or you take the win and you go on to the next game. So, yeah, not too bothered, Benny. But if he does, well done to Gareth. Well, if he doesn't, let's go again and let's. But talking about knighthoods is ridiculous. Win the bloody football match. That's what we've got to do tonight. Forget about knighthoods. Win the football match first. So that's my thoughts on it.
I absolutely agree. I think the whole knighthood thing is, us, in the words of my good friend Stu, just for fucking posers, really. I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson was granted a knighthood after what he did throughout his whole career. And, by the time the treble rolled round in '99, when he received his knighthood around the 99-2000 period, listen, he already won things with Aberdeen, broke up the monopoly of Scottish football. He was turning Manchester United into an absolute heavyweight in English football. Nobody could touch us. We're the Premier League kings, really, which we still are, really. No one's won more titles than us, thanks to Sir Alex Ferguson. So, Stu, I'll come to you on this point before I ask Hammer a different question, because I don't think you quite get what we're on about knighthoods. But where do you stand on all this knighthoods? Because I've seen all the press going, "Oh, it should be Sir Gareth if we win," and people on Radio 5 Live have been ringing in, "Oh, if we win it, Gareth needs to be knighted ASAP from the Queen. Harry Kane is knighting and all this lot."
Clowns. They're all clowns, Benny. They're all clowns. I think you probably know my opinion on knighthoods. There's not a sportsman on the planet that should get a knighthood. It's sports at the end of the day. There's I could go on fucking ever about this because it winds me up more than anything. Absolutely, really fucks me over more than anything. I'm sick of so-called celebrities. I think it's an absolute fucking nonsense that, and I'm sick of knighthoods and our country and our Queen giving knighthoods out to fucking anybody. I mean, Lewis Hamilton picked up a knighthood because he won his 7th world title. But look at him this year. Max Verstappen's in a better car, so Hamilton's not winning. It fucking sucks. It does. I'm sorry. There are far more deserving people in this country that have done more good throughout their lifetime than somebody who puts on a pair of fucking football boots or puts on a fucking uses a tennis racket or whatever. It just winds me up more than anything, because none of these footballers and fucking singers and all that kind of bollocks, they wouldn't fucking stand a post in Afghanistan protecting me, you, and everyone else in this country. They wouldn't dive down in the murky waters to blow up a fucking nuclear base or anything of that nature. None of these have got the brains, the aptitude, the talent to develop vaccinations that keep me, you, and everyone else safe and our loved ones safe. They're not risking their lives when somebody is coming at them with a fucking machete. None of those. It's bollocks that Southgate should be even considered for our top honour that this country can achieve. So I, for one, would not condone it. I, for one, don't agree with it. And I, for one, if Mr. Southgate was offered it, should just say thank you very much, but no thanks, because you really need to make somebody's life a million times better to warrant a knighthood. I can understand people's calls for what Marcus Rashford's done to feed kids, but then again, the parents have got to look at themselves. If you can bring a child into the world, you've got to make sure you can do the basics, and that's feed and clothe them. And that's just a basic, of being a parent. But I can understand that. I can understand some kind of charity work. But you've got to make people's lives better. And I just don't do knighthoods for personalities. That's what you want to call it. Which you probably knew that, Benny, anyway.
Yeah, I knew that anyway, mate. Yeah. Hammer, I'm going to come to you because in the USA, I don't. You obviously don't have a royal family, so I don't know if you have a type of award like a knighthood, which is like the top honor of the country could give to somebody that's gone way above and beyond, in their service to the sport, medical science, or whatever it may be. Because you come from a quite successful nation in like athletics and other sports where you have been world champions. Do you sometimes sit there and sort of laugh at when you see British or English people sort of get a bit carried away, and when you see people going, "Oh, it needs to be Sir Gareth Southgate if we win," and Sir Harry Kane and stuff like that? But surely, for me, as I said before, you have to be winning again and again and again and again to be put on such a plinth like that. How do you see it, as an American? How do you see like our attitude towards sports stars? Because I get a feeling that you might think, oh, the English and the British people get carried away after a sniff of a little bit of success. What do you make of it all? Or do you think it's just an all load of rubbish?
Well, so yeah, I didn't know how I was going to answer because I don't really know if there's like, and maybe there isn't, if there's certain criteria for being considered for a knighthood, right? So that's what my thing was, and there is, I think, it's not something like that where you get like a right, because then that's where you're called sir for the rest of your life, right? Like it doesn't give you a title, but I believe it's the Medal of Honor here, and that. And I think it kind of lines with what Stu was saying, and also what you're saying, Benny, right? I can't remember if there's celebrities who have gotten it. They might have, because there's other medals that they give people in terms of the government. But like you said, from Benny's point of view, it's someone who's done whatever they've done and impacted, an industry or impacted people for 10, 15, 20 plus years, right? It's not somebody who just became successful. And then in terms of the military side of it and stuff like that, I agree with Stu on that. I don't really see why athletes should get that. And some of them do great things. And, if you do some great things off the field as well, then sure. But in terms of just, winning a trophy and stuff like that, I don't think you should be given something like that, right? Like, I think the first Medal of Honor in the U.S. was, and it was a while ago, obviously, but it was like a military person who they were trying to bring down whoever they were going after, and they ended up getting attacked because the people they set it up. I guess it was kind of like a bombardment or whatever, not like bombs and shit, but they had them pinned down. And his team ended up having to retreat, and he got left there by himself. And he fought that night into the next morning while continuously being shot and hit with grenades and all kind of shit. And he stayed alive and was able to do what they needed to do. And they ended up being able to send. I think did they send people back to get him? I'm not sure, but he was the first person to get a Medal of Honor, right? Somebody more recently was a military person who I think jumped on what's it called? On some kind of mine because they set it off and he jumped on it so it didn't kill the rest of his squad. Like that type of shit deserves Medal of Honor, or in your guys' cases, knighthoods. So no, yeah, I agree with Stu and you guys. Not doing recent success in athletes or things like that. And if you are going to go that route in terms of an athlete or a celebrity, it has to be 15, 20 plus years of doing whatever they're doing that impacts their industry, impacts and makes a difference in people's lives through what they did, not just 5, 6, 7 years of success.
Absolutely. I totally agree with people in the military, people in the NHS, just like Reece here as well, nurses and doctors. They deserve the knighthoods. We've been through an absolute fucking shit show over the last over a year now, isn't it? Yeah. So the NHS, are still struggling, are still begging, for a pay rise. The government won't give a pay rise and stuff like that. They're still for a specialist job like being a doctor, like being a nurse, like working for the NHS. They deserve to be paid whatever they need to be paid. You know, they're the real heroes, and they're the people that deserve knighthoods. Not footballers, not football managers, not celebrities. You know,
Mrs. Benny, she's a respiratory specialist. My missus, so she's been locked in this COVID for the last two years or whatever. She's never complained once. You know, she's come back shattered on her fucking knees. She can't do anything. She can't touch the kids or anything until she has to put a uniform in the washing machine. You know, she has been on her knees for 2 years. Hasn't complained once, mate. And nor of her colleagues, you know, and I'm not just saying that because she's the other half, but it's true. They don't complain. They don't seek adulation like Beckham does or fucking whoever. They don't seek adulation. They don't need to be relevant. You know, when you see some of these idiots come on and say, "Oh, go and get your injection," who gives a, you know, who cares what you fucking say? You know, they don't care about that. And these people who have just gone to work day in, day out to protect us don't care. They don't care about it. They just do it. It's what they do. They get up and they go to work.
That's and that's another thing too. Like I couldn't be, and I've thought about it. Like, you know, when I was younger, people would talk about military and stuff. One, I respect the hell out of military people, but I couldn't and wouldn't do that shit. You know, like, and then in terms of doctors and nurses, the shit they see every day, the shit, and like Stu said, you know, and forget the pandemic, just in regular, when shit was regular too, the different types of stuff that they've seen, and they come home and they just go about their day. And they don't complain, they don't care, and they wake up the next day and go do it again. Like I couldn't do that, man. And that's why I have so much respect for those people.
They're the real heroes, and I just hope. Sorry, Henry. I just hope that if England do go on and win it, I just hope that, and I'm sure Gareth will, and I'm sure Harry Kane is the England captain, will dedicate to the NHS. I know that they said they're giving a portion of whatever it is that they get money wise is going towards the NHS, and the rest. And I know the rest is get split between other charities, whether they win or lose. So at least the money that they're getting is at least going to the NHS and to other charities that need that money. You know, they earn thousands of pounds a week for their club. They don't need extra money from the country. But sorry, Henry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
On the show probably a couple of weeks ago, I got absolutely hammered for saying something about Marcus Rashford. Absolutely hammered for it when I said, your job is a footballer. You're paid to be a footballer. Do your fucking job. And like literally, that for me, that's what it is. You know, I don't see, you know, the MBE thing. I think it's got to his head. I seriously do. You know, it's good. What he's doing is fantastic outside of football. But, and this again, it sounds terrible, but your primary focus should be your job. If you do what he's done in any other profession, so if you're a lawyer, say, and you're doing charity work on the side and it's impacting your job, you'll get fired. Why should it be different for any other person? Your job, you're paid to do. What you're paid to do should be your primary focus. Sounds terrible. Let your management team do the rest of that. You know, he's clearly been impacted by either injury or by this as well. I think this has had an impact on him. But your job is simple. Play football, play it well. You're being paid hundreds of £1,000s a week. Fine, use it, but tell your management team to sort out the rest and you focus on your career. But I'm just fed up of I laughed and joked about it earlier with the knighthood stuff. I laughed and joked and said, give Southgate. I didn't, I wasn't taking that seriously. Knighthoods are thrown around like you wouldn't believe at the moment. I've seen oil-rich billionaire Jim Ratcliffe has got a knighthood, I believe. He owns Ineos. He's worth like £20 billion, and he's got a knighthood because he found some oil. Well done, mate. Well done. Did you save a life? No. Did you, create a vaccine that's going to help us all survive COVID? No. So they get thrown around left, right, and centre. So it would not shock me one bit if the players got it. I'm not saying I want them to because I don't. But it's just knighthood means fuck all now. It means fuck all.
Yeah, I agree.
You can piss on someone's jellyfish sting and you get a knighthood now.
Yeah, seriously. It's true that. I think to be honest, actually, I don't think it'll come up anyway because if they did, there'll be a national outcry that the 66 lads, because only a few of the 66 lads got knighted, you know.
That's right.
And there's been an outcry about
to other stuff, fine. If it's services to helping thousands of people over a period of like 20 years, and you're spending your career money on it, and you're really helping people. Rashford's done it for like 2 years, and he's got an MBE. Like, respectfully, that is fucking stupid. I'm sorry, it's stupid. People work in the profession for 20 years, and they work in food banks, and they dedicate their life to helping people. He's done it for a couple of years, got an MBE. Everyone gets fucking MBEs and OBEs and knighthoods. It's bullshit. Get rid of it. The Medal of Honor thing, I think, is brilliant, and I think it's given to only the people of the highest esteem that have laid down their lives for other people.
That's the congressional one, isn't it? Is it the Congressional Medal of Honor they call it?
Yeah, it has to be given by. I'm pretty sure the president has to be the one to say that you've earned it.
But it's a queen taps you on the shoulder twice with a sword, and you're now sir. Like, fucking.
You know what else, Henry, as well? Just going back to just a football point. Another point about things being thrown out too easily nowadays is the term world class, and it really gets to me.
Oh, don't get you started on that.
I'm just going to say. I saw a post yesterday saying, how does Harry Maguire rank in these categories, right? Now, the top category was elite in a poll. Elite. Now, elite is Messi and Ronaldo standard. Elite is Messi. Then you've got world-class standard, which is the sort of Sergio Ramos, Thiago Silva playing for many, many years at the top level. Then it was excellent. Then it was good. And on that poll, the highest vote was for world-class for Harry Maguire. Right, and this is a big problem, and world class is becoming the new normal. Like Harry Maguire, no one doubts. Since December, he's been fantastic, really good season. But to be world class in a footballing terms, you have to do it at the top level for at least 3-4 years. For me,
he's been relegated 4 times in his career. I don't mean to disrespect him because he's been fantastic for the last year. 4 relegations, and he's world class, and he's been
and this is a thing in football. Honestly, Henry, it's a thing in football becoming the new normal, and it's the same with Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw has been at Man United, I believe, now for 6 seasons. I think he's been at Man United 5 or 6 seasons. He had a very good season. I think it was about 4 years ago, and he's had a very good season last season. But now everyone's calling him sort of this. Oh, he's the best left back in the world. He's been the best left back in the world this last season gone, but still, he's not the best. Like I just don't understand. People overreact all the time, and it happens every time. It's happened with Rashford, and actually the only thing that happens, it actually causes hate, because then rival fans start having a go, and I think Marcus Rashford's had a load of abuse because everyone hypes him up to be world class, well, some people do, and then when he plays poorly, he gets a load of hate because he plays poorly, because he's actually not a world class player, but people think he is, and that's why he gets hate when he doesn't perform well. And this is a big issue for me.
People use world class, by the way, for a very, very simple reason. They don't know how to define world class. Nobody knows how to define world class. Nobody knows how to define a wonder goal. Nobody knows how to define a wonder player. It's an absolute load of bollocks. It's that there are levels that you can reach. But anyone who uses the phrase world class doesn't understand what they're talking about, because there is no definition for world class. The end.
Can I say one quick thing? There's a huge issue with, and I'm just going to bring it quickly back to United. There's a huge issue with United fans. Rashford gets a free pass because he's helped kids in charity. Not his job. Respectfully, not his job. His job is a footballer. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets a free pass as a manager because he won titles with United over his career, not his managerial career. So everyone loves him, and you can't hate him because, forget that, he's a manager. And as a manager, he hasn't won anything yet. So stop shagging him. Treat him as any other manager. Treat him as Mourinho when he came in. Give him the same amount as you gave Mourinho in terms of leeway. I'm fed up of this favoritism because, he was good for us, or he was, he's really, really nice, and he's a really nice guy. Van James, he's a really nice bloke. He's not a fantastic footballer, though, is he? He's a bit shit, to be honest. Yeah, he runs a lot. Congratulations.
The thing is, Harry, you're
right. Look at talent.
Yeah, you're right, Harry. I mean, I put out a tweet the other day, right? Because this Ollie in, Ollie out thing. Just, I know we're talking about the Euros. I just want to make a point. I'm not in any category Ollie in, Ollie out. I'm an Ollie doubter, right? I'm an Ollie. That's sort of my category. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does some good things, but I've got doubts over him, and I think that's fair. I think when you're a Manchester United manager, you deserve criticism when you don't win a trophy in 2.5 years. I think that's quite fair. But the thing is, people take it very, very personally, and there's a fine line between disagreeing with an opinion and abuse. And I got a lot of abuse a few days ago because I pointed out that we're not good from set pieces and we don't have a good team shape when we lose the ball. And I got a load of abuse saying, oh, you wouldn't remember Sir Alex because you look 12, effing this, effing that. It's got nothing to do with how old I am. You know, if I see something on a football pitch and I've got an opinion, I've got a right to express that. And I think the issue is, and it's both in the Ollie in and Ollie out category, people take things way too personally and people don't back up their arguments with proper statistics. And honestly, Henry, I understand where you're coming from. And I've had a lot of this already. I've had, I think, one person that came on this channel before, the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer effect. I've had to block him. Just because hurling abuse at people, saying opinions are bollocks, this and that, without actually coming back with a proper argument. So if you're Ollie in or you're Ollie out, you're entitled to that opinion. But if you're Ollie in, you know, actually back it up with some statistics and actually realise there are some problems in the squad and don't support him for everything. And I think because he is a former player, I think he does get a lot of support that he maybe doesn't deserve at times. And I think people cannot take facts at times. And I've pointed out a lot of issues such as 28 home goals conceded. And I literally pointed out saying, you can't challenge for the title with that.
I'll interject here. There's a big reason, Charlie, why you got a load of abuse, and it's not your fault, actually. It's nothing to do with you. What it is today, it's the narrow-minded blinkers that people have only started watching United since the 90s. They didn't watch it before, and they might not watch it after. The only reason you got that is because Sir Alex Ferguson gave them what they think Manchester United is. Well,
you're right, Stu. You're right.
Big shock. Manchester United were going long before Sir Alex. And you know what? They'll be going long after that. And those idiots that are having a pop at you about the Sir Alex era will be having the same pop at further generations down the line. Well, you didn't remember Sir Alex and all this kind of thing. Hey, it's not your fault when you were born. It ain't your fault, pal. It's not my fault that I was born in the 70s. But I grew up.
Gave me a reality check, Stu, same as you. And it was like, listen, Henry, I know you're a bit down and you know depressed that United are a bit shit at the moment. But I watched, you know, Ron Atkinson manage United. We were almost bottom of the league and could only win cup. So it's all perspective, every single thing. And I'm Twitter. It's good, but it's also very shit because everyone hate. So take everything with a pinch of salt.
What I'll say to those people is like, and what Stu says, right? They've been spoiled, right? They've been spoiled because they think not just football, not just United. Now they think that's what sports is, right? You think a team is supposed to win that much, that consistently, and all the time. When in actuality, you know, most teams are happy if they have 3 of a trophy or 2. Not what do we have, freaking 13 permit? Like, you know what I'm saying? People, that's not normal. So I think some generations just got spoiled. But me, right? Like I'm a Knicks fan. I've seen they haven't won anything in my lifetime. I was going to say, I think they made the playoff twice in the time that I've been a fan. And then I've also been and then they have seasons where like now they played well. They got knocked out the first round, but a couple seasons ago they won 13 games the entire season. Like you got to understand, not only is sports up and down, but to get back anywhere near to the level that Sir Alex did bring United to isn't an overnight thing, man. That shit takes so long.
Takes time.
Yeah, the thing is, Haber, as well, like I got told, obviously, I'm 19 years old. I don't look 19, I'll admit that, especially when I've got glasses on, but I am 19. And I got a lot of things that, you wouldn't have remembered Sir Alex because you look this up. And the thing is, you've got to move on, as Stu said. This is sort of the Man United way. right under Sir Alex. Love Sir Alex. My family have actually met him in a lift when they were on holiday. I wasn't alive at the time. They actually met Sir Alex coming out of a lift, very funnily enough. But he was a fantastic man, a fantastic manager, fantastic success. But you've got to move on now. You know, we can't think, oh, this is Sir Alex, we've got to play. Move on. I want to see, this is the big thing from Ollie. I want to see his imprint on this team. I want him to make his own decisions, be brave, and take some risks and show us what you're made of. I want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to succeed. I've got my doubts, but I love it. I want him to succeed. I want him to show us some fight. Bring on Donny van der Beek for Fred or McTominay. Take a risk.
You know where Ole keeps shooting himself in the foot is because he keeps bringing up Sir Alex.
Yes, that's my problem. Yeah,
like, oh yeah, I talked to him about this, or Sir Alex taught me about substitutions or whatever. He needs to stop doing that.
Well, here's the thing, Hammer, and Benny will know this. He's probably about to say it. He's focused like a cobra, is Benny now, because he's going to jump on this. Sir Alex Ferguson always referenced Sir Matt Busby. Always. At the very beginning of his career and towards the end, he would always reference Sir Matt.
But to be fair, I think, you know, as football fans, we could be fickle. You know, it's I think it's in our nature, you know, and I think sometimes we do get carried away. There's been times where I've gone, he looks world class, him, doesn't he? And I don't mean that as in he is world class. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm agreeing with you guys. It's so easy now to use the term world class, or this guy's going to be the absolute bomb in the future. He's going to be the absolute. The best we've probably ever seen. You know, we do it all the time, and I think it's in our nature as football fans that we get carried away a little bit. You know, especially maybe one or two of us younger ones. You know, where we all we've had is the success under Sir Alex Ferguson. You know, I was born in '87, so all I've known is Sir Alex Ferguson. You know. I didn't know any time before that. I mean, Dad always slaps you around the back of that, even though he's a West Ham fan, and says, you don't know that when you've been born. My dad loves Brian Robson, by the way. He goes, Robbo was the best player that he'd ever seen. You know, even as a West Ham fan, they've had some terrific players themselves over the years that my dad's been watching West Ham. You know, and he says that Brian Robson is far better than any United player in my lifetime. And I try and counteract that with Paul Scholes, but you know he's having none of it. You know, he's like Brian Robson played for United at a time when United weren't successful; they were struggling. He'd be the one that grabbed United by the scruff of the neck and saw us through games. You know, he was a genuine superstar in a team that wasn't full of superstars in a way. You know, United has decent players around him, but not of his level, not of his ilk. He was the one that stood head and shoulders above the rest. He did exactly the same for England, my dad was saying, you know. He did. And that's the reason why they called him Captain Marvel, you know.
I was 77 was my first match. So I was Dave Sexton era. And then 81 is when Ron Atkinson came, and then obviously Fergie. If you want to see a goal, a real quality from Sammy McIlroy, watch the 79 FA Cup final. We were 2-0 down, and McIlroy scored our second goal to pull it back to 2-2. And then Alan Sunderland, well, we won't talk about the rest is history. But at that particular time, we weren't the greatest team on the planet, but it was wonderful. It was great to see a team come together from 2-0 down. Frank Stapleton, who went on to play for us, scored their second goal, I think it was. It's one of those, but football is football. You're born at the time, and that's it. You can't help when you're born. You're born at a time. But what you've got to do is people and our fans have got to move away from what Sir Alex did for the club. It's not just at Manchester United isn't Sir Alex Ferguson, and I might get fucking panned for this, but it isn't. Manchester United isn't Sir Alex Ferguson. Manchester United is an institution. And there's been many, many great players and great managers and great people, great individuals that have come and have grown our club to where it is. So anyone that has a go at anyone, like you, Henry, or Charlie, they're just ignorant. They're absolute ignorant. And they're the type of people.
One quick thing.
Yeah, I was going to say one quick thing. They're the type of people that will call people plastic fans. Yeah. They haven't got a fucking clue what a plastic fan is. They're fucking morons. okay, with an own, with their own agenda, and it winds me up. And guys like you support the club for your own personal reasons, and you don't need to justify your reasons for supporting our great club. We're just grateful that you do.
Yeah. I just want to mention one quick thing in terms of modern day, very quickly. With Ronaldo and Messi at the moment, a bit of a different topic, but similar to history and whatever, we will only appreciate these guys when they retire. Only appreciate them when they retire. I keep seeing Pinaldo and Pessi or whatever on Twitter. We will only appreciate these guys when they retire. So for any of the people watching and any of the people that think Ronaldo only scores penalties, whatever, we could be witnessing the two greatest footballers in history. We just don't know. It could be the two greatest footballers in history, certainly in our lifetimes.
Generationally,
Yeah. So maybe even in history, in terms of stats, with Messi and Ronaldo, you just never know.
Potential stats wise, but I think it will always boil down to Henry that and generational, because I was very fortunate enough to see Mario Kempes glide across a absolute fucking turnip field and still look graceful with his long flowing locks in 1978 in his tight shorts and his fucking Adidas Tango football. By the way, the greatest football on the fucking planet.
Agreed.
The greatest ball on the planet. But that's how I grew up. But he was absolutely he ghosted across the pitch. Wonderful talent. Socrates for Brazil, Adair, Zico. So I think it's more generational. I think you're right though. Stats, and I don't agree with stats anyway. Stats will say they're the best of all time, but to me, it would always be generational.
But just remember what we're watching and remember how important, this Ronaldo got hate this tournament. This could be one of his last tournaments. We could be witnessing one of the last tournaments of one of the greatest footballers there's ever been. And that thought, Messi won the tournament, won the Copa America yesterday. He won't have 2, 3, 4 tournaments left in him. I don't think he might have one.
World Cup, yeah.
So appreciate these players while they're around, because I'm fucking tired of people slagging them off because it's because they've been around or whatever. Appreciate them, enjoy them, don't compare them. It's pointless. Just enjoy what you're watching, and nobody at the moment, even how young they are or how quick they are, nobody is on the level of those two at the moment, and we're witnessing some of the greatest football in terms of quality in our lifetimes. So enjoy it, for God's sake.
Absolutely, and you're right. It is a generational thing, because my dad will harp back onto my granddad's times of best Lord Charlton, and my dad's time of things like Robbo, and then we've got our times of Ronaldo. It's all a generational thing. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up in a minute anyway, because we have been going over 2 hours, boys. But before I do, I want to get some score prediction of everybody. Let's see who's going to be the nearest to this one. But just whatever you do not listen to me and do not put stupid bets on. Anyways, Charlie, score prediction from you, pal, for tonight's game.
Well, you shouldn't listen to me much either, because I normally get it quite wrong, actually. But I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in normal time. I think it'll stay the same over extra time, and I think it will go to penalties, and I think England will win 5-4 on penalties. And who's going to get the win? Let's go with Jordan Henderson to score the winning penalty. There you go.
Very precise on the penalty score as well. 5-4 on penalties. Stu, what we're saying, mate?
Yeah, I think it'll be a draw in 90 minutes. I'm tossing between a scoreless draw or a 1 apiece. I can't really lean towards that either way. I'm going to go 1 each. I think we might score first, and Italy to take it to extra time. I'm going to go for a Kane winner in extra time, 2-1.
Okay, winner extra time. Just to get a couple of comments in. Reese is saying 2-2. Italy edge it on penalties, and Brown Knight is saying 3-1 to the winner. Can't say who wins. Well, that's a kind of a half prediction, I suppose. Hammer, what are we saying, mate?
I'm gonna go with. I'm not gonna do penalties because I detest penalties.
I think most England fans do, to be fair.
That's true. Yeah, y'all don't want another Pirlo, but I think it's gonna be extra time. It's gonna be 1-1 at the end, and it's gonna be either a Sterling. I don't know. I think it's going to be maybe Sterling, or because you guys said Rashford has a knock, so and so it's a final. He still might come on, but let's say he doesn't come on. I think it's going to be extra time, Sterling or Sancho Carlo to win it.
Absolutely, I think Rashford is not injured per se. I think it's just the operations that he needs. We're carrying him all through the season, so he probably will come on if England need to stretch the game, especially if it goes to extra time. So. But Sancho is a good shout as well. Henry, what we're saying, mate?
James alluded to it earlier. I'm a complete bottle merchant when it comes to predicting games. I'm an absolute bottle merchant, and I stick to my ways. So the thing of me in predictions is I always get them horrendously wrong. So Italy 8-0, and then they'll win 8-0. So I'll just
don't predict that. Don't predict.
No, I'm not going to predict. I'm just going to leave it with it'll be a tight game. Everyone enjoy it, stay safe, have fun, and get wankered.
That's a perfect way of putting it, mate. That's a perfect way of putting it. I think it's going to be tight as hell. I reckon it is going to go to extra time. I think it's going to be 0-0 throughout the whole game. Extra time. I'm going to say a last-minute extra time winner from Harry Maguire's head because I can't say that because he's got scored in 90 minutes. So what I'm going to say is on the 89th minute, Harry Maguire is going to walk on up. We're in a corner. He's going to walk on up, chest out, Harry Maguire style. Somebody will knock the ball in. I don't know who takes corners for England these days because there's a number of people, but somebody is going to have a cracking cross into the box. Should leave it to Luke Shaw, by the way. Let Luke Shaw take it. Luke Shaw's going to take the corners, go into the box, and Harry Maguire's going to smash it in. Steve Bruce style with his head.
Meaty head,
yeah. So don't listen to me, by the way, because it won't come true because nothing does. And when he was stupid as me to put 200 to 1 on Scotland to win the Euros, a fiver each way on that, that never to listen to me. But at least I'm bold enough to give a prediction. But I think Henry put it right anyway. Everybody enjoy themselves. Everybody stays safe. Whatever you watch the game, if you're at home, if you're at the pub, if you're at the fan parks, or if you're lucky enough to go to the stadiums or to Wembley itself, please have fun. Please stay safe. And get wankered, basically, as Henry said. Enjoy yourself. Have a few beers, have a few shandies, have a few bottles of wine, whatever your tipple is, and hopefully football will be coming home. Whether that be in the 90 minutes during extra time, or whether it'll be one of those nerve-wracking, hide behind the sofas, hide behind the bar stool, hide behind other fans in the stadium, or whatever it may be. England will hopefully win, and hopefully it'll be, a night to remember. Should we put it that way? A night to remember. My thanks to Charlie, to Stu, to Hammer, who got himself up extra early for us. I really appreciate you, Hammer. Thank you very much. And also to Henry. Thank you, boys, for an absolute top show. And also thank you to James. Unfortunately, leave us at 1 o'clock. Yeah. But he's probably going down the pub and getting wankered himself. But we shall see in the next one. I don't know if it's going to be another Euro show. I don't know if it's the final one or whether there'll be one on Monday, especially if England win to celebrate. I don't know. But I'll try and keep you updated on Twitter, on the social media. So just keep your eyes peeled, and hopefully there'll be at least one more show just to review the final, even if England could win or lose. But as far as I know, this is possibly the last one. But I'll have a word with Ben, and we'll try and sort something out anyway. But thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, in the comments. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And we shall see you in the next one. And Charlie, do you want to say something? Sorry, mate. You had your arm up. Or did you not have your arm up? I thought you had your arm up, I thought you were going to say it, just a final thing then.
No.
But anyway, I'll end it there then. So we shall see you in the next one.
Fucking hell, that was a long one.